You are about to opt in to Monerotopia, a show for the Monero community where all are welcome to join. From noob to maxi, no matter what bags you hold. Just sit back and relax to the sweet sounds of Monero's latest progress. Or if you're feeling inspired, join us on stage. Remember, the only thing that can stop Monero is a false belief that it can be stopped. And if you want to win the revolution faster, we recommend you remove your XMR from all custodial exchanges immediately. Warning, voting accidents are common around here. Don't forget to properly secure your private keys. Monerotopia starts now.
Alrighty, Tux, what's up, man?
How's it going? I'm here in the flesh this time.
Yeah, looking good. Lighting's good, camera's good.
Super professional setup here in my bedroom.
It looks good, man.
Yeah, I do have I've got the podcaster mic, so that means it's legit.
Yeah, it's very serious, very serious. Well, you're a very legitimate person, man. I mean, you travel all around the world. You just got back from
Hong
Kong?
Kong. Yeah.
Dude,
It was
how was
about
that?
a week ago, but it takes like a long time to recover from that. It was really cool. China's pretty awesome. At least Hong Kong specifically. I didn't get to go to mainland China for obvious reasons. But Hong Kong's really cool. Super rustic, yet still very clean and safe city. And the Chinese, they love cryptocurrency. So the reason why I went there was for the Bitcoin Asia conference because Cake Wallet sponsored. We had a booth, which is great. Lots of people. Not as
How many
big
people?
as-
How many people went to the thing? Yeah.
It's probably around, if I were to guess, maybe around 10K. Not as big as the other ones that I'd gone to previously, but still pretty big. Crypto is very, very big in Asia in general, but China specifically has tried to crack down on that recently. So mainland China, crypto's banned. So a
Right.
lot of people that came over from mainland China to our booth, they couldn't even download Cake Wallet because they had an iPhone or they had like a Huawei, one of those Chinese Androids from China, from mainland China, which are very
Wow.
locked down.
Right.
So it's very common to see these people carrying two phones, one from mainland China and then one that was from somewhere else in the world that was unlocked. They could do whatever they want with it.
Oh wow.
So it's an interesting dynamic being basically in a place like Hong Kong, which is still part of China, but a lot more free, being right next to this massive country that's completely banned cryptocurrency.
Yeah. I mean, Hong Kong it's great, right? Hong Kong is completely different than mainland China.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's throughout the years.
They're trying to kind of encroach on it a little bit, make it.
Yeah, I guess right now maybe it might be a little bit worse than it was 10 years ago. But in some ways, it's probably a lot better too with all the tech, like you said. So there's crypto adoption there. When you say they love, are people like are normies? Have you seen it? Like you're walking around in shops and you see like Bitcoin logos on the windows, like we accept crypto, that type of deal, or no?
No, I wouldn't say it's that kind of adoption, unfortunately.
Okay.
No, that would sound cool.
Because everybody, I imagine, is paying with their phones, right? Like nobody's using
Oh, yeah.
cash over there or card. Like they're all using whatever payment.
Yeah,
app,
they're
right?
way more, even more so than in the US. They're way more, I guess, like forward in terms of people just using their tap to pay. And they have like some systems, some payment systems that are local only to Hong Kong. So there's this one called Octopus, which only exists in Hong Kong specifically. But yeah, unfortunately, I wouldn't say crypto adoption in the sense of like you can just go somewhere and pay. Now, apparently, I didn't see any, but apparently there's a lot of stores where you can just go and you can trade crypto to get cash. I didn't actually go to any of those myself. I didn't see one, but I was told by a local that those exist. But they like crypto in general. They're just like interested in crypto, and they like to buy and trade and that kind of stuff. And they like mining, of course, which is why when China started cracking down on cryptocurrency, a lot of the mining operations moved from mainland China to Hong Kong, where you still can do that. So
Right. And yeah, I mean, in the early days, 2015, 2014, all the way up to China, they kept banning and unbanning, right? All this. But Monero, I mean, when Monero really took off in 2017, Korea was a very big part of that. I remember. It was on some exchange over there. It was getting like huge volume. So Monero has some early roots in that part of the world. Actually, I was messing around with ChatGPT the other day, and I was asking, like, where is Monero adoption the strongest for people who are actually... Japan was one of the top things it mentioned. I was like, what? Japan? I'm like, really?
Really?
I was like, I know, maybe, there might be some people there, but like, it mentioned it as, like... Because Japan is... Monero's banned on exchanges in Japan, but it's not outright banned to use peer-to-peer. Kind of like similar to New York, right? Like, not easy to obtain. But yeah, according to ChatGPT, there's like real adoption there. I don't know how true that is. We'd love to get people to come up and tell us. But in general, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of work that can be done over there to take advantage of like the kindling that's there, right? It's a good area to work on to try to grow Monero adoption, I feel like. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I think even like Asia in general, just because they are
Asia
like,
in general.
doing something like paying by scanning a QR code is so much more like done and obvious to them, because in China, mainland China, you've got two options. It's like Alipay and WeChat Pay, and oftentimes you're scanning a QR code, so they're used to doing that already. And so using something like Cake Wallet to pay for something in store would be pretty close to that already. Versus the U.S., where most people still use their credit cards, and then tap to pay has become a lot more popular over the past several years.
I'm just thinking too, like obviously mainland China. I don't know, I don't know what it's like on the ground there. If people would be apprehensive to use it because of how totalitarian their government is, or they would be interested in looking to use it. Like you said, there's a lot of people there that had multiple cell phones. I guess those are the people that make their way over to Hong Kong. But if you go into mainland, like, and you propose, hey, there's this thing that you can use where nobody can see your transactions, they're going to be like, get away! I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah,
or they're going to be like, oh, finally.
I imagine they would not. They'd probably not be super interested in.
Yeah, I don't know. I would think wealthier people would, though, right? The people that do have the ability to leave, go to Hong Kong, and the people that really understand that their government can take their money away from them at a moment's notice. People that may want to leave with their wealth, right? China's really good at putting borders up against people even just moving their money out of the country. I would think they'd see real. I'm sure that's already happening.
That was a surprisingly common thing that came up. With people would come up to our booth and they would basically ask us if they could use Cake Wallet to launder money, just straight up. They're straight up. Can I use this to launder money, not pay taxes? And
oh my god, you gotta be careful how you answer those questions.
Yeah, it's like it's like you just go like, oh, we don't control how you use it. You can use it however you want, right?
Right. Yeah.
So,
but you can use a car as a getaway vehicle to rob a bank, but there's other uses for it as well.
Exactly. There were some people that came up. There's this one guy I remember in particular who was an OG Monero user back when you could mine it using GPUs, when it was, like sort of basic mining with Kryptonite v2, right? And he was an OG Cake Wallet user. So he came up to us and he was like, you guys are the Monero wallet I used to do all the way back in 2018. So there were some of those people who were OGs back in the day when you could mine Monero using GPUs. Who also used Cake Wallet, so that's cool to see.
So what was the general sentiment, though? Like you said, some of these people, can I use it for this? Can I use it for whatever, money laundering? But the general sentiment when you would talk to somebody and be like, oh, it's like Bitcoin, but it's private. So did most people then care about that? Or were a lot of people like, oh, all right, whatever, I don't need privacy, whatever, like...
Well, most of the conversations weren't really.
They're like, well, how much is it? How much is it worth right now? Okay, all right. So you're really talking.
So but it got mentioned, because like when we're talking about the wallet, it's like, yeah, we've got these currencies in Monero. It's like you can't avoid it because it's probably our largest user base, more so than Bitcoin. So most of the conversation revolved around Bitcoin and Bitcoin privacy features like silent payments. So because we presented ourselves as a privacy wallet, people would see that and be like, oh, can I use this for, in this way or that way specifically?
Got it.
So yeah. But there were definitely some people who knew us once again as the Monero wallet, as most people already do. So
Guys, we have 40 live viewers. Like and share. Let's get a bunch of people in here. I had a Monero talk last night. We had a lot of people show up. Popular stream. We were talking about proof of work. I had a proof of work maxi on last night. I was been getting ridiculed because I platformed a guy with proof of stake opinions, and all of a sudden, I am trying to co-opt Monero using proof of stake in cooperation with the Israeli government. Like, guys, hang on, guys, hang on. We'll get a proof of work guy up there. We did, and he was actually he was fantastic. He is part of the Quai project, but he's a crypto OG, and is essentially a proof of work maxi. He's been working on proof of work technology for 8 years, coming up with improvements. And he gave his pitch for work shares, is basically the tech. So I'm sure we'll get into that more, but that was last night. Today, only 45 live viewers right now. Guys, like and share. Let's get a bunch of people in here. We're going to obviously talk about proof of work, proof of stake stuff. There's a lot going on. We'll give you the updates on that. We'll have Bawdy come on and do price report. He also, I'm sure, will give us his input on the latest with the implementations being proposed, including the work that he's doing, the simulator that he built. He talked about it on the show a couple of weeks ago. He's been doing it, and it sounds like he brought it to fruition. So super cool. I'm sure we'll get his insights into how that's going. And then our special guest today is Alessandro. We all should be familiar with him on this show. He was the one that ran OpenMonero. He is the guy who has made Monero popular in Monero Town in Argentina. He's got another cool project he's working on, and I believe sponsored by Cake, and it's actually very cool. It looks like it's gotten some legs. So we'll have him on, and then the usual, guys. We'll do the news and viewers on stage. Obviously, we could talk more about the things that are happening. I did want to bring this up though, given our conversation, because it was funny because I was talking to ChatGPT like a week ago. It brought up Japan, and I was like, "Oh, I'm surprised it mentioned Japan." And then literally a day
pops
later,
out of nowhere, huh?
this pops up. I was like, "What?" I was like, "That's a little weird. That's weird." That was like crazy coincidence. For me, because I literally was just talking to ChatGPT.
I'm about to move to Japan. I'm ready.
Right?
I flew right next to it. I was right there.
I would love to go. I mean, that's definitely on the bucket list. Monerotopia, I don't know, 2027 Tokyo, or I don't know. It's some little village in Japan. Maybe there's some Monero hotspots over there. Who knows? I don't know what's going on. Maybe we get the guy who posted this. I will try to reach out to Happy Landings. Maybe we get them to jump up on the show. But this looks really cool. Seems a little too good to be true. Obviously, guys, be careful out there on XMR Bazaar. You look at people's history, check the reviews, if it's a new account, blah, 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 blah. Something like this, I mean, the guy obviously, I think, just posted for the first time. I don't think he has any other listings. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a scam, but sounds a bit too good to be true. Because what is it listed at? $85,000?
$85,000.
I mean, you can't get anything for $85,000 in the U.S.
I mean, depending on where it is in Japan, there's some areas where real estate's relatively cheap. I don't know that region specifically though, so.
Yeah, it's a 30 minutes drive to Atami Station. From there, 40 minutes by bullet train to central Tokyo. I mean, that's pretty wicked. If I can live out in Japan in a house like this, and essentially be an hour and a half away, not even
from major city,
from the center of Tokyo. So that sounds a little too good to be true. I mean, that looks
pretty small though. Looks like a little.
Yeah, but just location. Right?
Location,
Tokyo's. I would imagine all the suburbs of Tokyo are
probably really, extremely expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, I would think, but I don't know much about it. But super cool to just see it getting listed. Somebody's looking to sell a house for Monero for 316 Monero in this town in Japan. So I thought that was exciting to see, and given everything that Tux is saying.
It says Japan Resort.
What's that?
It says in Japan Resort. Whatever that means.
Yeah, I don't know what that means. Not sure. maybe is that way? I don't know. Yeah.
Do we have
Might
any
just
Japanese-speaking Monero friends who want to do some recon? Go out there and find out if it's
Yeah,
real, if it's
or
legit.
or reach out to this guy and let's get him on the show. I'll send him a DM. I don't know. Somebody's saying something here. No, Japanese houses do the opposite in value what American houses do. A 30-year-old Japanese house has nearly no resale value. Earthquakes degrade structure. Really? Okay. How about the land? I mean, the land, though, too. Even just like the
Yeah, I mean, obviously, real
and,
estate and like
Yeah.
as it gets closer to the city is going to be astronomical. So
Yeah. And like, why aren't I living in Japan? I don't know. Besides the fact that I have to leave my family. I'd bring my little one, of course. But yeah, so that's super cool. If anybody wants to come up and give us more insight into what's going on with Monero in Japan, would love to hear it. Tux, any further insight in terms of your trip and what you saw out there?
I
Do you
wanted
think it
to,
would be cool to do like a Monerotopia conference in that part of the world? You think?
like in Hong Kong specifically. I mean, it would be pretty cool. I think what I can tell from talking to so many people, because our booth was pretty close to the front, so we had so many people come by. All of our merch was gone in like the first day. The Chinese people really do want privacy, but at the same time, a lot of them I think are like wary because of like how controlling their government is, and they don't want to get in trouble. So it is something that's very like of interest to them, but a lot of people, of course, ones who came from mainland China are, either they're wary of it or they're trying to see what they can use to get around the restrictions there through privacy. But I think a Monero conference, like in Hong Kong specifically, I think that would be a cool place. Obviously, that's very far for probably the majority of the people that would attend it. People coming from North America, South America.
Yeah,
but
it would obviously be a different group of people that would attend, right? I mean, there's like it seems like there's like a somewhat Monero community in Australia, so like that those people could come over. I don't know. That it would be more for that part of the world. Obviously, the Europeans, it'd be pretty far for them. The Americans, it'd be really far from them. But I'm sure we could get some of the Monero devs over there if we planned it well enough in advance, and obviously we funded them, which we would do with Monerotopia if we were to do that. So I would want to do it in an area where we're actually seeing real crypto adoption, right? Similar to, if there's something like in Argentina over there where people are really using it, then we could obviously get the marketplace going. I do want to keep that a theme wherever we go. So we want to find a place where we could pull something like that off, where you get a marketplace together and they'd actually be willing to accept Monero for a weekend.
gotta do Buenos Aires.
Yeah, that's on the hit list. That's as you know, we almost pulled the trigger on that. But yeah, definitely Mexico again this year. I'll bring that up right now. Actually, let me shill it. Because things are starting to heat up. February, it's going to come fast now, guys. Grab your tickets. At least grab your plane tickets. And mark it in your calendar. February 12th to the 15th. It's a good time for like people that have kids, especially here in the U.S., because a lot of schools are off that following week. So you can come down, go to the conference Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then you could have your family vacation in Mexico. That's kind of what I'm hoping to try to do with my fam and get others to come down as well. That's why one of the reasons why I did it at that time. And yeah, don't hesitate to bring the fam down as well. I think Monerotopia is very very family friendly. Obviously, there's some controversial things that get sold at the marketplace, but other than that, it's a very nice vibe.
Got some shroom honey
for all types of people, adults, kids. It's good vibes. People playing music, live music all day long. It's really nice. And then obviously the talks that are happening in the Dome are top notch in my opinion in terms of the people that we get to participate, the panels, the different projects. it really is a magical feeling when you're down there. Being able to talk to all the devs down there in this environment, it's super cool, and in my opinion, very productive. So that will be February 12th to the 15th. You can grab your early bird tickets, grab a VIP spot, general admission, whatever it is. Reach out to me, monerotopia@protonmail.com, if you want to participate in any way. You have some idea, you want to come, you want to be a speaker, you want to come shill your privacy tech, crypto, and you're doing something interesting, whatever it may be, hit me up. You want to come and vend? If you want to come and vend, we could probably, just set you up at the spot. If you want to come, but you can't afford the ticket, obviously we work, you could come for free, right? There's essentially a free level. Locals can come in for free into the marketplace area. We have it open to the public, which is really cool because then they kind of make their way into learning about, what's going on here? What's this Monero thing? And then we have the talks in Spanish. Not all the talks are in Spanish, but we have a bunch of talks that are in Spanish, like Monero 101 things that are being put out there, workshops. And so the locals can come and learn about Monero. They come in for free. They join the marketplace. But even, if you're coming from wherever, you can't afford a ticket, you basically could come in for free. Those that can afford, we ask that you buy a ticket. It helps obviously fund the conference. General admission gets you in the dome. So if you're coming there and you really want you're going to want to get at least dome access. And they're very reasonably priced. I don't even know, what do we have them priced out right now? So yeah, basic dome access is $99.
US.
Yeah, $99 US, and then the VIP is $199, and that gets you to the speaker dinner, which is super cool because you could chill with all the VIPs. You get better swag, all that jazz, and then we have the free ticket for locals and the $25 ticket for locals, which gets them into the dome. The free just gets them into the general public area. So anybody who watches this show should know what's going on with Monerotopia. I won't play the commercial again right now. I don't want to bore you guys, but we will fix it up, and I'll start playing maybe a shorter version more regularly. But I do ask, if you guys are interested, make a move. It gives the conference momentum when we start to see ticket sales, start to see people purchasing. We've been focusing on getting sponsors. That's been going actually very well, so we'll start making announcements soon, and then that gives us the confidence to move forward and make this thing really big. So we're feeling pretty good about that. We have potentially two main stage sponsors already already lined up, just not ready to announce it yet. It looks like we have another good sponsor for the speaker dinner, and so then it should be clear skies ahead, and we can rock and roll, and we can really blow this thing out of the water. Once again, we'll keep the tickets super cheap, free for those that just want to come down but don't have the money. And yeah, well, the real magic, the real value comes from the people that attend. So you guys make the conference. So obviously, we're creating the platform. We're getting it funded essentially with sponsors. We'll get the Monero devs down there. We'll get some of these other competing projects. But after that, the real magic is you guys coming down and participating. The more people that come down, the more people that participate, the better it's going to be. And we'll put more resources into getting locals involved, not just like random locals coming out to look to get something for free, but people that would actually care about what's going on here. And we've seen that organically grow on its own. Last year, I saw people that were there from the year before that were locals, and they had brought friends. So word is spreading. We did a good job kind of getting the word out locally with some PR. We were in a bunch of a bunch of media outlets came and did stories on Monerotopia, and now we'll link up with them again, letting them know that the conference is going to happen again. So hoping to get tech-minded people to come check it out. People that are libertarians that live in Mexico City. 20 million people in the area, so there's plenty of potential Monero early adopters there in Mexico City, people that would see value in untraceable digital cash. So that's the Monerotopia spiel. I'll leave it at that. Do we have Bawdy? Yeah, looks like we have Bawdy.
We do. Someone said, when Monerotopia in Portugal? That would be a pretty cool place.
Yeah, I mean, we have MoneroCon in Portugal, in Lisbon.
That's before me, yeah.
But obviously, I am considering it because I have family over there. I went this summer. I was scoping things out. I had some ideas, especially if we could find a good town that we could kind of like take over. Maybe Porto. Porto is a beautiful city. I actually like it a little better than Lisbon. I like it. It's beautiful. It's just a beautiful, beautiful, magical place. The cobblestone streets, very hilly.
Probably a little reminiscent of Prague.
Yes, but much more hilly. And it's a sea town, right near the ocean. You have a river, big river running through the cities. Yeah, similar to Prague in that respect. But yeah, beautiful old town. And market-based. So there's a lot of people out there selling things, and there's a lot of squares that you can walk into, and there's vendors everywhere. So obviously I would look to kind of maybe do it in one of those squares, similar to what we do in Mexico City, take over an area that already has vendors and do the conference there. So it is being considered. It is being considered. But yeah, let's go ahead. Let's move it along. We're already almost a half hour in. Guys, retweet. Let's get a bunch of people in here Saturday morning talking Monero. Let's get Bawdy up, do the price report. I'm sure we'll be talking about other things with him as well.
All right, well, let's do it.
The Monerotopia Price Report segment is sponsored by Exolix, a privacy-focused, non-custodial instant crypto exchange. Go to exolix.com to enjoy secure and completely anonymous swaps with no KYC or sign-up. Swap between Monero and 2,000 plus assets at the most competitive rates and with no limits. Exolix.com, your fast and secure way to privacy.
All right, Bawdy.
Morning, gentlemen. Welcome back, Tux. How was it's good. How was were you in Hong Kong? Where did you say you were?
Hong Kong, yeah.
Nice.
Dude, the time difference is absolutely bonkers. It's they're plus 12 from me. So going there is actually easy, I would say, because I just stayed up all the flights. It's like 24 hours of travel time. I just stayed up the whole time. I'm like, oh, I'm tired. I can go to sleep at the appropriate time. Coming back home, I've been like going to bed at like 2 p.m. every single day, except for last night. Last night was the first night I actually got to sleep kind of normally. So it's super hard coming back. But yeah, super cool place, though. It was a very good trip.
Yeah, surveilling the Chicoms.
Yeah. I'm doing some spy work for the United States government.
Obviously, got to defeat China.
Liberating them from within.
GPU smuggling
with Monero. So yeah, Bawdy. Obviously, we could get into price. Do you want to? I want to talk about the simulator you're working on too. I don't know if you want to talk about it now, before, or after.
Either way, I guess now is fine.
Yes. So I guess give us the update on what's going on and your latest take on the ideas being discussed and what you're doing with the simulator.
Yeah, it seems like the primary thing that like the main countermeasure, the immediate countermeasure, is the DNS checkpointing. It's nice because it's already basically built into our nodes and wallet. You just have to turn it on basically. There's tricky things with that, so you can, if you go on the MRL, you can see that the discussion's happening there. I think it's a reasonably good idea as long as they get the details hammered out, and I think that they will. I trust those guys a lot, obviously. It's not a permanent solution, right? We're going to be looking for other solutions. Right now, there feels like there's an urgency, and I mean, I feel the urgency too. In the general Monero community, it feels like there's an urgency, like, oh, this sounds good, let's do that. This sounds good, let's do that. And it's like, the problem is that there's like 10 different things, 10 different proof of work modifications. They could all work, and they all have different like little constants that you can set, like how many blocks deep should we look for uncles, right? Stuff like that. And the thing is, we don't want to implement a solution and then be like, oh man, it's a shame we didn't test this other thing, or we didn't combine it with some other stuff. And, it would have been better if we'd have done this. We don't want to end up in a situation where we made a change and then said, wow, it would have been better if we did something else. But then there's no more impetus to make that change because perhaps Qubic has gone away by then. So I feel like, this is something that's probably going to take months. And so that sort of leads into this simulator, is that I want to be able to test a whole bunch of different ideas. And when I had that, the time-weighted idea, I said, oh, that's really cool. So I started like working on a proposal. And then as I was doing it, I was like, well, we could do this. And well, what if, should we do depth by block? Should we do it by time? What are these constants? Where should we set those constants? What are the trade-offs? And I said, man, and then there's these other good ideas, like uncle blocks are a great idea because that's information theoretically brilliant, right? Like that is a fundamental unit of information that we don't use. And theoretically, we should be able to leverage that. Okay, so should we combine time weighting with uncle blocks? And eventually it became very clear that we needed a way to test those in a more straightforward manner. And so I couldn't think of a better way to do it than a simulation. So I just started coding, and that was about 3 weeks ago. Currently, so what I tried to do is I tried to make the simulator as modular as possible, something that would be easy for people to work on a small component of it without having to worry about the rest of it. So it's pretty modular. And I really, especially I wanted to be able to plug in strategies. So the structure of the code base, I think, is really good. But there's still a few things that I'm cleaning up. Like for this past week, there's sort of some very edge case logic when it comes to blocks arriving out of order. And then you have to make requests for blocks, and then you need to simulate the bandwidth on that. And there's a couple things that I didn't like fully have generalized. And so I'm very, very close to having like the base case generalized. And from there, I'll be able to launch into different kinds of strategies and say, okay, let's start plugging in different strategies. So yeah, that's basically where I'm at. It's it's a real piece of something, right? Like it's cool. It's a real thing. So it deserves
super exciting that you brought it to fruition, man. Very impressed. What kind of response are you getting from the devs?
Positive. Yeah, they're all. I posted it in a few places, and they all seem to be interested in it, and yeah, just very positive.
What I wanted to get your take on, some of the things being proposed. I know we've been talking about through the weeks. Most recently, I had this guy on from the Quai network last night, and he was proposing work shares. Actually, let me play the clip real quick, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Just so everybody can kind of understand. I think that'd be good. Bop, 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 bop. Here we go. Here we go.
Understand that that's 51% of the hash. And so what you're seeing with the Qubic attack is that because there's variance in small population sizes, they can, with less than 51% of the hash, create a 5-6 block reorg. But it just has to do with variance in a population. So the way you fix it is take more samples. That's it, right? So work shares basically say, instead of saying taking one sample per block on what the hash rate is doing, we take 100 samples a block. So we could just take a sample a second. It's not a block, it's just a header. And they're naturally produced when you mined anyway. You just sort of mine a share, just like you mine to a pool, right? So when you participate in a mining pool, you submit shares to the pool, right? And the shares are basically not a block, but they're a piece of work that is sub-block. But if they look at all of the shares submitted by all of the participants, they can then say, when they do find a block, you did 10% of the hashing, you did 12% of the hashing, you did 15% of the hashing based off the shares that were presented, right? So it doesn't sort of record itself into a block, but it's a representation of what the work was doing intra-block, right? So all we have to do within Monero is take sub-block samples, and then you eliminate the variance problem. So then the only way that they can screw with you sub 51%, they can't screw with you sub 51%. That's the statement. So like if you just add work shares to the system, you're resilient then to 51% rather than the 30% that you're currently resilient to. That's like the full proposal. And so what a work share is, it's like a share in a pool, but you actually record it in a block. And if you want it to be done in such a way that it's also fair, meaning you eliminate selfish mining, you don't pay blocks all of the reward. You should actually pay the shares. So you can solve selfish mining, you can solve the chain quality problem, and all you have to do is add what we call work shares into the system. So like that's what we do with Quai. We have much faster blocks. We have this like much more rigorous setting that we have to work within. But if Monero just started adding like even if you had 10 shares per block, like this problem would go away a ton. If you had 100 shares per block, it would go to 0.
Okay, now you're doing a great job explaining all this. How would that effectively get implemented into Monero?
Well, that's what I'm working on the PR. So I actually have a PR.
No, but like, what would that look like? I mean, is it so? Obviously, it's a hard fork.
It'd be hard fork. Right. So there's different ways you can foliate this idea. Okay. And there's ways that, like, depending on how you want to do it, make more or less sense for what the Monero community wants to do.
I think we got the idea, right?
Yeah, you got the idea. So yeah, what do you think of work shares? I think it's super cool that he's already working on a pull request.
It's definitely a path to explore. It's something I thought of as well. I'm pretty sure all the other, like a lot of the other devs have thought of this as well. The problem is that, like, imagine you have a pool and you have work shares in a pool. You sent them a template, so when they send you some proof of work threshold that is less than the block difficulty, as a pool you can verify that because you know the template that they're working off of. As a network, that's a lot harder to verify. Now we have fluffy blocks, so you can make the case that generally speaking that shouldn't be a problem. But how do you verify that the number that they sent you is actually related to a real block that they found, right? How do you prevent people from trying to game that system? Maybe there's a clever way to do that, but I'm not thinking of it off the top of my head. Without having to transmit the block across the network, 100 blocks of shares across the network, right?
Mm-hmm. I do think Dr. K has an answer for that. Obviously, I don't know what the answer is, but maybe I'm sure we'll get him talking more. I told him to, he'll be in the Monero research lab. He's working on the pull requests, so he'll be answering any questions the devs have. But it sounded pretty convincing. Obviously, I'm not the guy to judge. I've said that about a couple of proposals I've seen so far. Like, oh, that sounds good. And like you said, I mean, most of these things could be used. It's just a matter of which one do we want to use, because each one comes with its own, pros and cons, right? Like anything else. This one sounds interesting though, and I liked his overall arguments for being a proof of work maxi. I thought that was, he had some really good persuasive arguments. I recommend people go check it out. Could your simulator be used to test something like this proposal?
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously, yeah. Cool, man. I don't know. I just want to get your take. So what is your current top? Obviously, the thing they're looking to implement right now, which is what is
DNS checkpointing.
The DNS checkpointing, which really isn't a solution. It's more of just a temporary mitigation. But beyond that, what's your top choice for solution, things that can be implemented to improve Monero's proof of work?
There's two absolutely high level information theoretical ideas. The first one is uncle blocks, whether that's parish pop, right, publish or perish, or some other version of that, and time, including time in some form or fashion, to say which blocks have more value to us because of when they appeared on the network. Those are two very high level ideas. They're information theoretically sound, right? Time is an independent variable that's independently verifiable, and we still use it. We just try to minimize our usage on it. It's for the difficulty algorithm. Obviously, we use time as an adjustment mechanism. It's the timestamps of the headers, and we try to absolutely minimize that. And that's a holdover from Satoshi when he made Bitcoin, because he wasn't sure. Back in 2008, the global internet infrastructure wasn't anything at the level that it is today, but we still need to design to network degradation. So anyways, those are I'm pretty sure that any proof of work mitigation that we do is going to involve one of those two things, right? The inclusion of uncle blocks, right? Orphans, promoting them, adopting them as uncles, or including time as a very minor reference point. So, but as far as which of those is the best, I honestly.
And so, and the including time as the reference point, that's basically, that was the proposal that you had put forward, right?
Yeah, I mean, I had a very specific idea, right? Time waiting for the blocks. There's all kinds of things you can do. You can do depth penalty, right? So you could penalize by the number of blocks that are being reorganized. In which case, you're still using time. It's just kind of an accidental factor in the sense of like the primary thing you're looking at is blocks, and yes, that's also a reference to time. So, or you could say, hey, monotonically, how many seconds have elapsed between blocks, right? When I saw this block arrive versus some other block arrive. So it doesn't require time synchronization of the network. It just requires that you have an accurate count on what is a second. And pretty much every device has an accurate count on how much, how long is a second. Yeah, but there's still a lot to investigate there.
So on the uncle block side, publish or perish is the popular one people are talking about. What is the name of the popular implementation with regards to the time solutions?
Shit, I don't know.
Okay, I'm just curious because I hear publish or perish all the time. I'm just curious what they're calling it.
I don't know if any of them. Sorry. Ethereum Classic, the one that I investigated first, probably the main one that I investigated, the only one, was modified exponential scoring. There's another S in there. I'm forgetting it. So Ethereum, back when they were proof of work, came up with this exponential scoring system or something like that, where it's basically it's a time factor, right? They value the blocks which came first, right, in time. They value them higher. Really, what they do is they penalize blocks which came late, which showed up late to the network. And then Ethereum Classic, when they got like massively 51% reorganized over 2 weeks or something, they came up with a modified version of that and implemented it. They had a very steep curve, so it wasn't checkpointing, but it kind of acted like a checkpoint in a certain kind of way, and they were having like weird network fracture problems, where people's nodes would end up on a different network somehow, and then they'd have to resync. And I think it's because they set their constants too aggressively. So yeah, those would be maybe like the main highlight, or mess as they called it in MESS. I like to call it depth penalty just because it sounds cooler. I have this idea for publishing an eventual proposal, right? And I would probably call it something like Rich Uncles and the Depth Penalty.
Okay.
But again, that's just like me wanting to be semantically clever. Everything depends in my mind.
Bawdy be clever. I doubt that.
Yeah. Just you just want to fap towards being able to say something in a fun kind of way. Whimsical nonsense
as you're sipping your cocktail at the
end.
Yeah. David Black, do any of these proposals impact UI UX, as in making it more difficult to use? I mean, I see it improves UX, most of them, right? Because it's getting rid of the 20 block lock time.
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously the thing that we're trying to. Well, no, it might not. Some of these might not get rid of the 10 block,
or at least shorten. Most of them will shorten it. No.
Maybe not. Right.
Okay.
It just. I don't know. I couldn't say for sure. But in terms of
work shares would eliminate it, according to that guy. But
I don't think, generally speaking, David, I don't think that there's major. I don't think that most of these have any major drawbacks in terms of the UX. And some of them have the benefit that we might be able to reduce that block lock. So.
Okay. And the DNS checkpointing, I mean, are there concerns? Because it is an act of centralization, right? We're saying we're giving this group of people essentially authority over, right?
Yeah.
A certain
Bill,
aspect
here's the question:
of Monero.
Do you trust them to do? And this is a double-edged argument. Do you trust them to build good node software and to build a good GUI? Do you trust these guys to not write something malicious into the code? We already trust these guys, right? There's no avoiding it. And when it comes to software, people like to pretend don't trust, verify. And okay, that's a nice little trope, and sure, but you absolutely implicitly trust Blockstream when you use Bitcoin. Those guys are writing the reference implementation on the node. And if you don't trust them, then you just shouldn't use Bitcoin. Period. Dot. The end. There in software, you have to trust people. There's no way.
Yeah, but this is a little bit a further step towards.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a permanent. The thing is, it's not permanent. The idea is to make it so that Qubic can't reorganize the chain at some some large depth in case they come up with the extra hash power at some point here. I think it would be dumb for us to not have this prepared and in our back pocket. If we get even a single large reorg, then I think that we need to, or a medium-sized reorg, then I'm going to be turning that on with my node DNS checkpointing, because again, the guys that are going to be running those DNS checkpoints for us, we already trust them. We already checkpoint the blockchain. It's already there are already checkpoints hard coded into our nodes. When you sync up a node, there are these checkpoints, and it's like, listen, everybody knows these checkpoints are valid. That are like 10,000 blocks deep or 100,000, a million blocks deep. It's like everybody knows the chain is not going to be reorganizing there. So we already have a version of that kind of checkpointing going on. It's not an ideal, right? The network should stand on its own without some centralized force saying, "Hey, here's the real network." But as a temporary measure, I think it's fine.
And it doesn't potentially. There's no potential of it leading to some contentious hard fork, right?
No, no. I mean,
right? Because that's the concern, right? Like it's centralizing, and then people will be like, "Well, I'm going to use the pure non-centralizing version of Monero that would never adopt something like this." I don't see the pushback like we're seeing with talk of proof of stake, where people are like, I'm out of here if you even consider it. But I'm just saying, like, theoretically, there couldn't even be like a contentious.
Theoretically, I mean, it could totally be contentious. If people wanted to make it contentious and say, "Fuck that," I'm
right. So
I'm not
just
using
literally
that.
fork off and
I'm
start their
pointing
own.
my node at Qubic, right? Okay, then But in terms of like the current risk, it seems very, very, very low.
Right. There's a low risk here of it creating two versions of Monero, right? Like I don't really see how that would even happen.
I mean, Qubic could make their own version of Monero potentially and try to keep mining for as long as they wanted, I guess, and see if people
don't give them that idea.
I mean, that happened, right? That happened with ASICs back in the day, and everyone just like didn't even matter that they had the hash power. Nobody cared. Like no one wanted to mine on Jihan coin, so they all just fucking. That was before my time.
Raphael. Nice to see you, Raphael. I've seen this guy on X. He's got some good. I think most of his stuff. I think he's from Brazil, but I have an X auto translate. He's putting some really good info out there. Hey, Douglas, add a Monero wallet QR code so we can donate instead of using Super Chat. Yeah, I appreciate that, but yeah, no. I mean, just use XMR Chat. Use XMR Chat. I ask you, and you could send whatever 10 cents. I'd just rather see Monero getting used in that way with XMR Chat. It's fun to see it in action. What else? Do we have any other? We don't have any super chats yet, guys. Send some super chats. We'll bring them up. Raphael, yes, I'm from Brazil. Yeah, man. Maybe we have you jump up one of these days if you feel comfortable speaking in English. We get you up here on Monerotopia, or potentially we could do a Monero talk. English. Happy to do that. Yep.
Sorry. That was my fault.
No worries. So, buddy, if you want to go ahead and take it away, Price, Tux, if you could run the price report. I don't know if you're still sitting
I think we already ran.
Oh, he ran it?
Did he? Yeah, it did. Yeah. It's just
okay.
I can bring it.
Hypothetically, what we could do in the future is you could get me up here, and then we could have our pre-chat, and then you could run the price report, and then have that be a nice contained segment, and that way it's not. Or maybe if you want, the.
Let me go ahead. I mean, we could rerun it again right now. It's literally 10 seconds long.
Sure. That's good. That gives me a chance to get my super.
Yeah, here we go. Bye.
The Monerotopia Price Report segment is sponsored by Exolix, a privacy-focused, non-custodial instant crypto exchange. Go to exolix.com to enjoy secure and completely anonymous swaps with no KYC or sign-up. Swap between Monero and 2,000 plus assets at the most competitive rates and with no limits. Exolix.com, your fast and secure way to privacy.
All
right, keeping it nice and organized now with the price report, plus making our sponsors happy.
Yeah, they got
Take it away.
double promotion there.
Yeah.
All right, not actually, to be honest, not too much exciting happened with the price this week. Everything is basically flat unless you're a stock bro, in which case you've made new all-time highs, but that's a pretty regular thing. You could basically always be saying that you're making new all-time highs. So we're looking here, obviously, at the Monero US dollar price. And like I said, things have just been flat. You know, we had big volatility to the downside, and now it looks like there's kind of this consolidation happening. Okay, you know, I don't think anyone really quite knows where things are going. I will say anecdotally, a friend of mine hit me up last night, and they said, hey, can you help me out? Kraken I'm having problems with Kraken. And I was like, really? So I don't know what's going on there. I didn't investigate that further. That was last night. I told them to use Trocador as an aggregator, and they were like, well, like 10 minutes later, they're like, hey, that totally worked. Yeah, it sounded like they were trying to get into Monero. Maybe they're trying to get out of Monero. I don't know. Actually, I didn't ask them, to be honest. Anyway, so that's just a small data point. Here's the trick for you guys. The anecdotal evidence is like, people try to say it's a fallacy, and I've said this a lot, but I haven't said it in a long time. Anecdotal evidence is extremely useful if you understand the kind of statistical power that it has. The fact is that most of us, the things that you see from, especially around like more slightly normie friends and acquaintances, the mentalities that you see happening there are very likely to be representative of the population. Yeah, you don't have this like massive, high level confidence interval or whatever, right? A narrow confidence interval. But it still has statistical power. So when you see, like, for example, a friend of mine back in the last bull market was first getting into crypto, and he was like, yeah, man, I got into crypto. I bought Doge. And I should have taken that. A smarter version of me back then would have taken that data point and said, Doge is the first one you bought. That
Top
means
signal.
something. Yeah. Well, no, it wasn't a top signal. He was getting into crypto, and the first one he bought was Doge, and then Doge pumped fucking massively, right? It was one of the best performing coins of 2021.
That was before the Elon pump,
yeah.
was it?
Yeah. And so it's like, if I had just gone, because we were entering the bull market. So if I'd been slightly smarter back then, I would have said, well, that's a data point. That's an interesting indicator that the normies are getting into Dogecoin, right? And you can apply that to other things as well. You can apply that to trading. So anyways, I just wanted to share that. Like, pay attention to your somewhat normie-ish friends, and then that will give you, in a lot of cases, a reasonably good finger to the wind of what the what the situation looks like. Okay, but back to Monero. So actually what you can see here is that there's a consolidation happening exactly in a range that would make sense from a wave magic perspective, right? We've got this sort of constrained band here, and the lower standard deviation bands, the orange bands. And at some point, price is very likely going to want to break out of this range, right? This is, again, we talk about this all the time. It's typical price action. Big volatility to one direction, consolidation, right? Narrowing volatility is kind of almost like a compressed spring, and then price is going to want to find some other new set point. So we don't know. I mean, this thing could maybe stay here for some period of time, or it could just decide to break out next week. But look for Monero to we're entering that zone where you would say, hey, maybe this thing is about ready to make another move to a particular direction. And I have to believe that Monero is going to have the tendency to move where the rest of the market moves. And I do think we're still in a bull market. So, and again, like, here we are, Bitcoin versus Monero. Has anything interesting happened for this past week? Nope. Like, almost nothing at all. Your big opportunity moment, like we talked about, was this guy right down there. Because again, just these standard deviation bands, for a number of reasons, could be psychological. And just because they're kind of like defining, hey, what has the price done, right? And they're cool because what they do is, when you make some big violent movement, you're saying, hey, in the most extreme of circumstances, here's how far price moved, and then let's draw some statistical boundaries on, from there we can draw statistical boundaries to say, well, what would be other reasonable moves, considering that this would be the most violent move that we could have under the current scenario, right? That's not to say that some other fundamental event couldn't cause some other violent move. But in general, it just gives you a frame of reference, and it just seems to work really well. I mean, again, I was really surprised when I made this, and it just popped out, and it seemed to be very useful. All right, so we've got the divergences. Actually, nothing interesting has happened this week. Everything seems to be like relatively pinned to Kraken. But then again, if Kraken is having problems, then this chart would actually make sense to look normal. So, because again, these price divergences aren't the fair, versus the fair market price of Monero. They're just relative to Kraken. And we chose Kraken back in the day because they never shut down withdrawals. But that has kind of changed as of the past few weeks. Kraken seemed to make some bullshit excuses for why you were not allowed to deposit Monero, and then I think they shut down withdrawals as well. I never really followed up into that. I don't know if someone else has more information. I should probably hit up Monero Fox and ask him, because he seems to still keep up with a lot of that. Okay, here's Bitcoin versus the United States dollar, the amazing best currency fiat in the world. It actually is probably one of the best fiats in the world. Everyone wants it. Okay, so yeah, nothing happened. We basically, okay, so here was the wait here. Well, actually, let's go to the 4 hour. That's right. I was looking at the daily. Yeah. So let's first stop and just talk at the daily. So, nothing like really super special has happened here when let me see. Actually, there's YouTube comments. Hang on. Mr. Anderson said Kraken used excuses as network instability because ongoing attack. Yeah, that was a bullshit excuse because maximum 9 block reorgs are happening. And so Kraken could have just said, hey, we're going to be extra cautious and set 100 blocks right before we accept your deposit. And if it's above this threshold, then we're going to require, I don't know, 1,000 blocks or something like that, right? Maybe not that. Maybe 1,000 is ridiculous, but maybe it's not that ridiculous. Like a day and a half, right? Anyways, yeah, Kraken really was making fucking excuses that were bullshit. Like the network instability excuse was not a real excuse. So all of us are now asking, is Kraken not what they used to?
They're crapping out excuses right now.
They really are. Like, I haven't kept up with it, but we saw.
I just initiated a small withdraw, and I'm going to see how long it's going to take. But they said it's like, oh, we're experiencing delays right now, and they're being, it's like vague. Like, so I'll see what happens. Yeah. Historically, they've been incredibly quick, no matter what situation Monero has been in. Whereas all the other, exchanges will very quickly at a whim shut down withdraws. But I'll see what happens this time around because it's weird. Are other exchanges doing the same thing at this very moment still, or is it just Kraken now?
That's a good question. I'm not too sure. I mean, I've made some transfers here and there with some of the instant swap exchanges, and I haven't had any problems with them. So, yeah, I mean, Kraken has been shady as fuck the past 3 weeks. Like, there's just no reason for them to do some of that, and it just seemed like they
dropped Canada recently.
Yeah, and then they dropped Canada. Yeah, so it's like there's this string of like little heuristics, and it's like, yeah, but y'all never done that before, and you don't need to do it now, and your excuses are kind of bullshit. So I don't think we should, honestly, guys, I don't think we should trust Kraken anymore. That doesn't mean I'm saying that they're distrustful. I'm just saying that the trust that they enjoyed, in my mind, is mostly gone now. We have to ask we have to put them back into a neutral category and say, hey, are these guys potentially, have they gone the way of the dark side, right? Now they got the new CEO, etc. So just, yeah, anyways, that's with relation to the divergences chart here. These are all, we're dividing all of these by Kraken, but that probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Come from behind sent 3 cents. He will not divide his apes together strong.
Yes, we can. All right, let's go back to Bitcoin here. Yeah, so we're looking at the daily on Bitcoin. This is still positive, right? This is an unequivocally positive chart. You really want to see this thing be more positive, right? Like, we're hoping it's currently September. Right. So we've got October, November, December. There's 3 more months left before we have like the classic 4-year cycle. Maybe you want to expand that window, give it another 2 months just because, I don't know, because reasons, right? Maybe it could be longer this time. So we have 3 to 5 months before the bull market is, over, right? But on the 4-year cycle. And where are we at? 108,000. But the regression analysis, and let's just go ahead and pull this up really quick. The regression analysis has us at 200,000 by the end of the year. It should have us at 200,000 by the end of the year. Sorry, this chart is moving slowly. Let me do a little bit of, there we go. So that's the red line, right? So let's just go here. Right now, the upper boundary of statistical regression would put us at 195,000. And then you can see by the end of the year, that rises to a little bit over 200,000. So it's like, I mean, price can pump out, any moment, right? It can happen. I'm just saying that you really kind of want to be a little bit higher than where we are right now. But I don't know. Let's go backwards if we can to the last bull market. Yeah, I mean, the last bull market was just extremely violent, right? I mean, and the one before it obviously was even more violent. So this thing, it almost got there, then, kind of like sort of meandered its way towards the top, like it reached for that top level. So I don't know, guys. Maybe it's not as bad as I'm kind of making it out to be. I would just kind of hope this thing would be a little bit higher by now, in terms of, like where it quote unquote should be if we're going to make this top line, right? These are just boundaries. There's no reason that we have to make, we don't have to make that top level boundary right there. There's no reason that has to happen. But anyways, okay, so we're going to go to the 4-hour here. We're going to forget about the regression analysis for a minute. We're just going to look at the near-term price action. And near-term, again, things aren't as nice as we would hope them to be, especially given that the stock market is doing quite well. But things are still generally bullish, right? There's still, like, this chart still has plenty of potential to go to the upside. At the moment, I can't tell you that I think it's going to the upside soon, right? As far as I'm concerned, this chart could just as easily test these lower standard deviation boundaries. You really don't want to do that in a bull market. You want to test lower boundaries occasionally as a nice floor, as a nice support, and then you want to just steadily move up. And right now, again, this isn't the strongest price action that we could see. Price action that would have been stronger would have seen something, like that, right? We would be doing this right there. So especially, let's go to the stock market. That is especially true in light of the fact that stock markets are continuing to make new all-time highs. Let's go to the S&P. S&P 500 made a new all-time high on Friday. Yeah, it pulled back a little bit into the close, but markets, right? Risk markets continue to march higher. NASDAQ didn't make a new all-time high, but it almost did, right? So this is still a bullish chart, and this still looks good. In fact, I wanted to look at the stocks versus crypto. I want to look at stocks versus crypto today because I want to show you guys something that it's not super flattering, right? This is stocks versus Bitcoin. So maybe we should look at stocks versus crypto, but this is not very flattering. So here's the 2017 high. Now in 2021, we did make a 55% higher high. But now, like, where are we? Bitcoin has not made a higher high. Oh, sorry. It has made a higher high relative to the NASDAQ, but only by 11%, right? Other than that, like at the moment, it's actually flat relative to the NASDAQ, in terms of what it did in the last bull market. So it's kind of like, here's your diminishing returns, right? If you were lucky enough to get in pre-2017, right, 2016 or before, and you didn't sell like a retard, and you rode this shit up to here, you could have just dumped that into the NASDAQ and had higher risk-adjusted returns, right? Because there's so much volatility with Bitcoin. You would have lost less money on the bull markets, and okay, you wouldn't have gotten that extra 50% on top. But it's like, let me show you. This chart looks like, I'll tell you what, guys, this chart looks like shitcoin. This is how shitcoins, when they launch, this is how they look versus Bitcoin. They get massive pump early on, and then they get this kind of diminishing rollover. Bitcoin relative to the stock market, in my mind, yeah, it's probably has more room to move towards the upside a little bit. You're just not, it's going to be harder and harder for people to say, oh, get into Bitcoin instead of stocks, because stocks actually do something real. Like Nvidia, like, people use the shit out of AI. I fucking love LLMs. They help me do things that I could not have wrote this simulator without the help of an LLM. My syntax is garbage and I don't know the libraries, but I do know logic and organization and architecture. So LLMs can help me cover that for my syntax, right? So people use the shit out of LLMs. NVIDIA is like a really like true value that is being applied into the world, and a whole bunch of other stuff, right? Like, don't tell me. So I know a lot of you bros out there use Amazon too, right? Amazon's a very valuable company, whatever. Like, what is Bitcoin doing? What the fuck is it doing? JPEGs right now, it's barely doing transaction volume. Like, it's going to get harder and harder to justify getting into Bitcoin instead of just having stocks, right? Like, so anyways, that's a very long-winded way of just ranting and kind of giving a counter opinion. I don't want to be a negative Nancy too much about all this, but the diminishing returns, especially relative to risk assets, has hit. So all right, let's go back to speaking of NVIDIA. All right, let's go back to the crypto situation here, see what's going on. Let's look at some shit coins. Nothing's happening here. Everything's just kind of like, things aren't as negative as the Z-scores would make it look. It's just that we've been kind of sideways and meandering towards the downside for a few weeks now. So the Z-scores actually show up a little bit extra more downside because they're trending back towards zero. That's what Z-scores do. That's what happens when you moving averages, right? That's the idea of moving averages. We won't talk too much about that. Anyways, who's doing best here? Sol is on the top side of everyone right now. All right, relative to their own. Damn it, we're doing Monero's currently at like the FTT levels. Fuck, that's not very good. All right, and we'll look at the total crypto market cap. We've been talking about looking at this chart instead of just Bitcoin because we're in that point of the cycle. And yes, this chart is still bullish. Okay, hopefully, what we really need actually right now, if we want to like believe the bullish case, we really want this to hold. We don't want to have to. It would be fine if things came down to here, but honestly, we need strength right now. We need this to do this, right? This is the moment that you want to see strength. Otherwise, you really start to ask yourself, how real is this bull market? Like, how like strong is this bull market, right? We really need to see some more topside action, somewhere in the next few weeks. It doesn't mean we have to make new all-time highs, but we need to not be flirting with this notion of looking like we're about to go down. In terms of the Bitcoin dominance, this actually looks totally fine. Like, if you're looking at this chart, you're just looking at this and saying, hey, that's a flag. That's a bearish flag. So down, flag, and then you'd expect down again and then flag. In which case you would expect, hey, we're going to get that bullish. We're going to get that bullish action, and it's going to go into altcoins. And I'm perfectly fine with that, right? Like, I know most of these altcoins are just shit, but like, hey, at least Sol like does something, right? Like, there's more volume of USDT happening on Sol, more economically significant volume happening on Tron and Sol than it is on Bitcoin in a lot of cases. Like, a lot of that Bitcoin volume, and maybe this isn't true, but years ago they showed that the Bitcoin volume, most of it was just people trying to gain privacy by churning basically. And they showed that a lot of that volume, like up to 75% of it, wasn't even economically meaningful. So yeah, I know Sol's centralized, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, I'm just saying that like Bitcoin occupies this special place of state supported price. And it's like, no, that's not, I don't like that. That doesn't sit well with me. Like, Bitcoin's just like, I would rather just see that market cap exist with some other shitcoin that's doing something that people actually can use. Even if it's fucking Tether. Like, what do you want, guys? Like, I want like money that people, like, they still don't really censor Tether unless you're a bad boy. Like, if you need to send Tether to someone, they don't censor you. Like, that could change at any moment, of course. But anyways, I just wish that's just me being negative on Bitcoin and wanting to see Bitcoin do more. We all wanted to see Bitcoin do more. Anyways, whatever. Let's get to the macro and then we'll call it a day. Let's start with oil, because oil took a little tumble. Took a little whoopsie daisy here the past week. It's still not a big deal, sitting here at 61, 63. We're still in the zone that we say, hey, everything's fine. This is still a stable zone. If it starts dropping off, that'll be concerning. I'm going to be schizophrenic here. We're going to go to the civilian unemployment rate, which went up. So this thing just went it ticked from 4.1 to 4.3. And this is, remember we said the SOM rule has been activated. Like, once the SOM rule has been activated, it's a foregone conclusion that there's going to be a recession. And obviously recession means the stock market's going to crash. But you could kind of say that, like, if anything, like, oh, like, once this thing happens, eventually there's going to be a recession. Well, eventually there is going to be a recession. So, it's like kind of a tautology there. But anyways, the point is that this was something that we were looking at in sort of concert with a bunch of other metrics, like the price of oil, and saying, if this thing starts spiking, we start getting concerned, right? Right now, historically, 4.3 is actually quite good for the economy. Like, that has been quite good for the economy, but spiking up in the unemployment rate has historically also been highly correlated, 100% correlated to stock market crashes. And effectively, the unemployment has spiked up, and now we've sort of broken out of that range. So it's not really a reason to sell your stocks or sell your crypto yet. But if this thing continues spiking over the next, say, 2 to 3 months, that does become a problem, especially if we look at it in concert with the other things, like oil, right? So if oil is crashing again and we're getting into that danger zone and we see unemployment continuing to spike up, we're going to have to look at opportunities for exiting, right? That's what we'll end up doing. And obviously, if we see Dixie make some new, so here's the dollar index. If we see dollar index making big moves towards the upside simultaneously with those other things, that adds strength to the thesis. And right now, that's not even a thesis. It's not even a hypothesis. It's just us saying what are the things that we would want to look at in the future, and putting the criteria ahead of time instead of making shit up in real time. So yeah, another thing that we would see in this picture is dollar index having big movements towards the upside, along with reverse repos, which are now basically at zero, 21 billion, which is nothing compared to the trillion that they were at. We would see reverse repos spiking sustainably. We get these weird spikes from time to time, but this thing has never, there was a couple moments where it looked like it might be ready to start a new uptrend, and then it failed. So at the moment, reverse repos aren't showing us anything interesting. No surprise there. Gold doing well. We said, hey, if this thing breaks out, and even closes a couple days above the level, then expect it to continue breaking out. And that's basically what's happened. We are now at 35.85. And this is kind of a good reason why I said, hey, I'm not selling my gold, even though we hit like this level was my fucking spot. I was like, once we hit that, like, that's where I start thinking about selling, but I just couldn't think of anything else that I wanted to go into. Right. So I'm just going to keep holding gold. It's possible, again, usually this purple line ends up being, a limiter, right? That's usually like depending on the context, but in this context, you would have called this a limiter. But because of the situation that we're in, where stocks are going up and everything's going up, and they've turned on the money printer again, and the macro crash was avoided, but the inflation is still like higher than what they pretend, right? We could just see ourselves, on the top side of this line for a period of time. So that's fine. Gold will crash if we get a macro crash. If that happens, right, gold will crash with it. So let's see here. There was one thing else. Oh, the rates. We need to talk about rates. So the Federal Reserve actually said that they are going to start lowering interest rates. I don't know why the white line. So the white line is the federal funds rate. I don't know why it lags. There's two versions of them. I have the version that lags. I don't know why. Anyways, but what you can see here is that bonds have already started curling down. This is very likely the beginning of the bonds doing this action. So we are actually, so for a while we said, hey, we had the macro crash, we had the scare, we had the 20% drop off in the stock market back in April, the tariffs, etc. And then we're like, no, but it's all gone now, right? Like that's not a concern. Now the direction is up. Forget about the macro crash, right? Well, we're gonna put that macro crash not on the table precisely, but we're gonna at least allow it to enter the room with us, right? The macro crash can now start hanging out with us again. Because this does look like the potential for the beginning of bonds falling off. We have Jay Powell saying that they're going to lower rates, and even though that sounds good for the markets and good for the economy, and that's a big reason why gold pumped this past week, is because Jay Powell said they're going to lower rates. So everyone's like, more inflation, that means gold goes up, right? But this is historically correlated. When they start dropping rates, this is historically correlated with them kind of like knowing that, hey, we're almost out of room, we're almost out of juice on this cycle. And so they're going to have to take us through another washout, and then another intervention, and then another cycle up. And that makes sense because the AI thing, the pattern that they do for new industries, and this is important, you'll need to listen to this. The pattern that they've done for decades now, a new industry comes that's revolutionary, it's important, it's doing cool stuff. It's losing money. Almost everyone is losing money in that industry, but the money is awash. The funds are flowing. The liquidity is easy. The banks are loaning. And then what happens? The macro crash comes to destroy, to wipe out the low players, right? To wipe out, and in a lot of ways, it's kind of a good thing. Wipe out the nonsense, wipe out the pets.com, etc. So then you wipe everything out, and then your chosen darlings are the ones that get the loans from the banks to cover themselves through the crisis. And then they come back stronger and consolidated, and you end up in an oligopoly situation. And that's exactly what is going to happen with AI at some point. They're letting a million flowers bloom right now, guys, and then there will only be a couple flowers left by the end of it. So you can bet your ass that they are, and this is, again, it's a way to control the market. It's a way to capture the market. And these big corporations, like OpenAI, right? These guys they'll be extremely happy about this. So obviously Google, and then Claude now is a new player, but they want to wipe out all of these other little guys. And I'm telling you right now, everyone that I know in the AI industry that actually works there says that it is extremely unprofitable. Like they are not charging us enough, considering the forests that they're burning down to provide the electricity for these GPUs. So yeah, just know that wipeout is coming, which I say that because, again, we're sort of correlating, right? We're correlating things. We're not just looking at, stupid lines on a chart. We're not just, we're not just looking at one thing. We're saying, hey, this AI craze has now gone on for about 4 years, 3 to 4 years now. And at some point there needs to be a washout. It's going to happen. And right now you can already see the seedlings of that are beginning to happen. The Federal Reserve is going to lower these rates at some point, right? We're going to see some of this going on, and maybe they'll be able to extend it. Maybe they'll extend it a little bit further, right? More than we've seen before. But at some point, this shit's going to curl down, and we're going to have that next crash that we've been talking about. So that's not now. Don't worry. Don't sell your shit. You need to be long right now. Long is the important thing to be here. Even if the next move for crypto is down, and it might well be, there could be another down movement here before things go up. Maybe not, right? It could go up. I don't have any opinions on exactly what happens here with the Bitcoin price. I haven't stared at this chart for long enough to really give you like my intuition on what's about to happen. But it does look, if we ignore Bitcoin and we look at total, this does still look like a bullish chart. This chart has room to go down. This chart has room to go down before it goes up again. But this overall, in a longer, in the months long sense, this is a bullish chart. It's not as bullish as we want it to be. So anyways, I think that should be about it, guys. We've covered the macro. We've given you the taste of what, the next macro crash could happen, and the narrative that's going to accompany that. It's going to be the AI crash out narrative, and gold, is performing. So hope you guys still have your gold bags. I hope you're still long the market. If you're not long, then you need to try and get long, find opportunities to buy. And that's all I got for you guys today.
How about my silver?
Oh shit, my silver. Actually, my silver is at like 40. Let's go to, I don't think I have it pulled up, but DOT. Come on, TradingView. Of course, it's going to make a liar out of me. Let's just go to a different chart. If you hit the DOT button, you don't have to actually go over here and click your layouts. Anyways, but it didn't work this time because it wanted to make me look foolish on air. I feel so foolish, guys. Okay. XAU, XAG. Where the fuck are you, XAG? Here we are, the bottom right. Okay, yeah, XAG has been performing. Wow, look at that. Wow, this is a very beautiful chart. Some would even call it fantastic. It's going to go to this purple band right here. There's no doubt about that at this moment. So let's go to the daily. We'll see more. That purple band will become more clear once we go to the daily. But yeah, this thing is reaching for that purple spot. No, actually, the weekly was better. Yep. So, and here's the thing: purple's already curling up. So this thing is gonna continue being bullish into that band. And let me guess, we're gonna look at the gold versus silver chart, and it's gonna be, wow, damn. Oh wait, that's the monthly. Yeah. So silver has been outperforming gold on the reasonably short time frame here. Let's just call it from June. So for the summer, we've had silver shining for sterling, shining for the summer. And maybe this could go down further. Probably. Like the way that the silver chart is setting up, it looks more bullish than gold does in my mind. This looks like gold is sort of like not topping out, but gold is like it could still have plenty of upside, but it's gently towards the upside, where silver is kind of making this violent movement towards the upside. So, yep, silver still needs to make that new all-time high, right? $50, the new all-time high. Very likely that not only are we going to hit these purple bands, but that will probably lead into a 50 double top. And then we'll have to see a pullback. Almost certainly that 50 level will be a resistance, a hard fucking resistance. So if you're looking for a sell point on your silver short term to pivot to something else, right? 50 is a good spot there. We'll have to look at the rest of the macro and judge on that basis. But yeah, if you've been waiting, finally, if you've been waiting for silver, you're getting some silver. And I got some silver. I'm not going to lie. Got some of those bars. But yeah, in terms of the gold versus silver ratio, this chart doesn't look like terribly bullish for silver. Bullish for silver would mean bearish on this chart, right? Because we're dividing by silver. So you want lower numbers for the denominator to be bigger. Go study math if you haven't. I think everybody knows how to divide. All right. Anyways, anything else you wanted to see, bro, with silver?
No. We might be good here. Let me look at the comments. Not much today. Pretty quiet day in the comment section.
Nothing happened with price, so It's not too surprising. Like everything is basically just moved sideways. Just
Boring
slightly up.
week.
Yeah. You want the kind of boring weeks that see you making slightly higher highs, not hoping that you'll recover a higher high, which is what the stock market is doing, but not crypto.
Anita, those bags, they're not quite heavy enough. They got some ways to go. Right? They can get a little bit bigger. Not quite done yet. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
You need bigger, lighter bags with better buoyancy?
Sure.
Why not? Yeah. Stupid. Okay, I will see you guys later.
Well, with that being said, I guess we can go ahead and jump into the new segment. Thanks so much, Bawdy, as always. And let's do it.
The Monerotopia Weekly News segment is sponsored by WizardSwap.io, a non-custodial cryptocurrency exchange.
Hello, Toady.
Hey, what's up, guys? How you guys doing?
How's it going?
Good, pretty good. How was your traveling? You traveled quite a bit.
Yeah, it was good. It went pretty well. Yeah, it's a long one.
I know. If I can disclose at least the continent, like you were in Asia.
No, yeah, I went to Hong Kong.
Yeah, wow. How was it? Was it your first time?
Yeah, I've never been to Asia at all before. It's very cool. It's a very cool place.
Must have been like a huge culture shock.
Yeah, to a degree. It's a very dense place. So they don't have as many people as like Mexico City. I think it's like around 8 million people, but it's very dense. So it's a lot of people in a relatively small area, but it's very beautiful. The topology is pretty insane because the city is basically built in the mountains and around the mountains. Very beautiful place. So much to do. You could spend a long time there, and they have, lots of hikes and trails, and they have like a Disneyland and stuff like that. So
that's really cool. Now, the most important question, did you stick a Monero sticker on the ball?
So here's the thing. So that place in particular, and I guess this is the thing with a lot of countries in Asia as well, probably Japan. They're very, very, very strict in the city on littering. And I did not see any poll, like maybe I just wasn't paying attention enough, but I did not really see any poll that had like a prominent amount of stickers on them or posters or anything like that. Because normally if I'm going to do that, I'm going to find one, that has like 100 stickers on it already. Did not see that. And there's signs everywhere that say like a minimum 3,000 HKD fine for littering, which I think is 600 US. So they're very strict on like, not putting stuff anywhere, not littering, no stickers on poles, anything like that, I'm assuming. And it's like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go to this country and then start putting stickers on poles that have nothing on them, So otherwise I would have gladly done that. So
I know, like in Singapore, I think if you just like throw gum on the floor or something, you can get some really bad consequences. I think you get the death penalty if you just smoke weed. So you got to be careful. Yeah.
Well, the place is is very, very clean because of that. It's rustic, but it's very clean as well. So
yeah, that's cool, man. I'm happy for you that you get to travel and experience all these different places.
Yeah, there was a couple people that came to our booth that used us. They were like OGs. They used Cake Wallet years ago for Monero, so that was always cool to see.
Did you maybe notice, like, I don't know, I mean, it's like crypto usage at least? I'm not gonna say Monero because that's pretty niche, but at least, I don't know, some crypto place, shop, I don't know.
I didn't really see any place in particular that like took cryptocurrency directly. Apparently there's several places throughout the city you can go to, or you can just deposit crypto and get cash. I didn't run into any of those places, but I heard from the locals that that's a thing. But didn't really see any places that I to be fair, I didn't really go to my way to try and find one. But I didn't see any places in particular that would take crypto directly. Everyone pretty much just uses the tap to pay for everything there. So,
Oh, I see.
yeah.
Okay. Roy asks, where was the place in Asia you went?
Oh yeah, Hong Kong.
Hong Kong, yeah.
It was for Bitcoin Asia, which is the organizers that do the Bitcoin conferences. They had one in Asia every year, and this time I think it's usually in Hong Kong, but yeah, it was pretty big. Not as big as the other ones in Europe and then in the US, but it was still reasonably large. It had like 10,000 attendees, I'm guessing, at roughly. So
That's big.
yep, CZ was there. Michael Saylor was not.
Huh, okay. That's cool. That's really cool. Okay, so I guess we can get into the news now. We don't have like crazy amount, but still like very good stuff to talk about. So guys, I'm watching the YouTube comments as well. If you guys have anything that you want us to talk about, or any input or something, I'm watching that too. But the first thing, just a little bit. I mean, they already talked about XMR Bazaar, but just a reminder that go on XMR Bazaar, where you live, and then just look what's around. Maybe you can use your Monero to purchase something, or maybe you can offer a service, or something that you're talented at, and put it on XMR Bazaar. I know this is cards because I saw it on Reddit, and I have that post too. So somebody made a website, xmr.cards, and you buy gift cards with Monero, no KYC, and it's store based. So actually, I just found it now because I just saw the Reddit post. But let's go on. Let's see. Yeah, so this is the Reddit post, and then they say we offer gift cards for 2,000 brands, 60 plus countries. We don't require KYC and support Tor for maximum anonymity. And yeah, so this is new. Let's look at the website a bit. XMR.cards. So shop with Monero for daily needs. Leave no traces. And then you have all these gift cards, and then it's by categories: fashion, gaming. Actually, let's go to gaming. Let's see. Okay, you can get Barnes and Nobles. You can get Blizzard, Candy Crush, GameStop, League of Legends. All right. Okay, that's cool. Steam. There we go. Okay, that's what I was looking for. Steam. So you can get quite a bit, and it's nice to see competition. You can use Cake as well to get your gift cards, but you have competition, and that's good. It's new, so I guess be mindful, but it's nice to see competition. And they put on the bottom Monero everywhere, all in for the culture. And actually, talking about traveling in countries, so if you guys know GeoGuessr, I actually got dueled against somebody with Monero in their name. So that was pretty cool. I hope that it's because of the currency. Must be. But, I happily let them beat me if it happened. Now, a couple meetups. This one is in Portugal, Azores meetup, sponsored by fixedfloat.com, organized by Orange Friend. So, with the help of FixedFloat, orangefriend.com, the no KYC swapper directory is organizing a meetup in Ponta Delgada, Azores, Portugal, in exactly 1 week on the 30th of September. And then you have the details here of, I guess it's a coffee place, and then when, and the venues. So if you're in Portugal, or if you're around there and you want to go, then check out this link on Reddit. And then if you are in Nashville, Tennessee, there's a Monero privacy meetup September 20th. Web Wipe is hosting another privacy pop-up event, this time in Nashville, Tennessee, on September 20th, Saturday. And they'll have presentations on some of these topics and discuss others, such as Eigen Wallet demo, Edge Wallet, RetroSwap demo, Goopbox, Orange Friend demo, Ashigaru presentation with Dojo Pay demo, Kick Wallet presentation, NIMS Mixnet, XMR Bazaar demo, BISC, passphrases. It's a lot of stuff. It's pretty cool, actually. I wish I was close. So if you're close to Nashville, Tennessee, make sure you check out this event as well. And then maybe start one in your place and try to get people. That'll be cool too. You can meet, make some friends and talk about Monero and make it grow. XMR cards we already talked about. Now, this one too, I thought it was interesting. I didn't know that Bitcoin Cash is a bank run, but somebody wrote on Monero subreddit that on Bitcoin Cash, we have something called BCH Bank Run, where we take the money off exchanges regularly. I heard Monero has something similar, synchronizing our bank runs. We could multiply the outcome. So I guess for them, it's more like a regular thing. So this guy said, yeah, so guys, I've heard you also do bank runs on Monero, where you encourage every user to take money off exchange in order to increase price pressure, decrease market manipulation, and make the money more peer-to-peer. And they've been doing it for quite some time. So he wants to kind of synchronize it. And then, yeah, it's always a good time to take your money off exchanges. And then Monero Fox in the comment section, outlined that we do have a Monero run. It's every year on April 18th. That's where, if you have stuff in any centralized exchange, that's when everybody just takes it away and runs with it. But just as a reminder, if you're maybe new to this and you have not just Monero, any crypto in a centralized exchange, just take it out, because they can shut down your withdrawal. They can do so many things. Just take it out. If you want to use Kraken or whatever, CX to purchase your Monero, cool. But just like Shortwave said, just get in and just get out, right? Now, somebody said, how cool would it be if the phone supported solo mining? Can we design and support mobile phone solo mining? Not everyone has a computer, but almost everyone has a mobile phone. Occupying the mobile terminal is the future. And the first thing that will come to all our minds, and it's the first comment too, is that, yeah, the heat that you're going to generate from mining, you're going to have some battery problems with your phone pretty soon. So, yeah, people said it's a terrible idea. I guess if you have a phone just dedicated for this, but then if you can afford that, then maybe you can get some cheap.
Yeah, the only way it'd be reasonable is if we did like 5% of the phones like available CPU, and then at that point, like the hash rate's going to be so little, even if you'd have like 10,000 phones that are doing it, I don't think it's going to make a like remotely reasonable dent. So
yeah, this guy's saying, I know what I'm talking about. Fierce guy, I mined a South Korean cryptocurrency that could only be mined on a smartphone. I had a farm of hundreds of old smartphones running 24/7. Damn, who is this guy? Okay, that's crazy. if that's true. Okay, so now let's get into, let's see. Yeah, let's talk about the World Liberty financials. I can't believe that even him making his own coin was legal and okay, like Trump, and then it went up, and then actually, what's he doing right now? Let's take a look at his coin. I think it's this one. Let's see. Give me 1 second. No, Trump. I'm gonna share the tab. I'm curious what's the price. Yeah, this is the official one. It looks like it. Oh, it's $8. Okay. And I think it was like all the way to 70 something. Oh, why can't I go more? Oh, that's weird. Yeah, it used to be like 70 something. It's crazy that this was okay. But anyway, so this one is from Justin Sun. So he says his World Liberty Financials tokens were unreasonably frozen. It's kind of funny. Come on. But he wrote on X, on Twitter, to the World Liberty Financials team and the global community. As one of the early major investors in WLF, I have contributed not only capital, but also my trust and support for the future of this project. My goal has always been to grow alongside the team and community and to jointly build a strong and healthy WLF ecosystem. However, my tokens were frozen. As one of the early investors, I joined together with everyone. We bought in the same way and we all deserve the same rights. I love and respect every member of this community. Tokens are sacred and non-violable. They should be the most basic value of any blockchain. Well, if you're looking for all of that, you should look into Monero. It's also what makes us stronger and more fair than traditional finance. Well, most cryptos are not fair. But I call on the team to respect these principles, unlock my tokens, and let's move forward together toward the success of WLF. I believe that a truly great financial brand must be built on fairness, transparency, and trust. Well, I think you just lost trust right there. If they can do that, they can just do it again. And if they've done it once, that's pretty bad. But it's funny. Jesus, it's just ridiculous. The world, liberty, financial, saving the world, right? Yeah, they're not interested in that. Just like Bitcoin. I guess I'll show you guys this picture now. Fuck the banks, Monero, secure, private, untraceable. It's more like a fuck you to not just the banks, but the whole system that is trying to steal your privacy and, put 1984 on just steroids, just crazy steroids. If George Orwell knew about AI, that book would be much scarier. But right, so with Monero, nobody can freeze your account, right? You can't freeze. The CEO can't come and freeze it. Nobody can stop your transaction. Nobody can peer into your balance. It's money that respects the individual, not the institution. Fiat is permissioned money. Monero is sovereign money. Choose privacy, choose freedom, and choose Monero. And this gives obviously a lot of freedom to benevolent and criminals, of course. But just because of some criminals doesn't mean that we need to undermine our privacy, and we need privacy. And then we got to focus on, education and economy, so we have less criminals. That's the solution, not just KYCing and asking for people's personal things. But of course, that's an easy solution. Like in Europe, we talked about it. They want to basically look on your WhatsApp, decrypt your WhatsApp and your Signal and look into your messages to find sex trafficking. Sounds good, but that's not the solution. That's not the way to go. And I hope it didn't pass. I hope it's not going to pass. I guess we'll talk about it once we know more on it. Now, this one is from Monero Bull. He said, stay the fuck away from OpenMonero. The admin runs slander campaigns against his decentralized fast competition and presents his centralized site, which allows user deposits to hackers, as way more secure than it is. He also uses bots to manipulate you. Don't fall for it. This is bad actor playbook. This is not like the beloved local Monero. Even if they stole its looks, they did steal its looks. And that's sad, man. Local Monero, that was great. Vote manipulation, fake comments on Reddit and even Monero.town, the audacity, fake listings, the boot perceived activity, fake threads on Twitter by sock puppets. And then so somebody said, so then what other platforms do you recommend for peer-to-peer trading? Havino, or the Swap if you really have to use a website, although you should really get a cheap mini PC to run Havino if you don't have a PC. Nonce app. There's also a Havino Android app in the works, which should release soon. And they are listed as a scam on Monerotopia. And by the way, Monerotopia is a really cool website. So you go on Monerotopia.com, and you have just so many Monero friendly. You can do on the business category. You can go on the communities, education, jobs, freelancers. So let's go on freelancers. There we go. So you have some designers, a privacy and security consultant, software developers, a lot of stuff. Nonprofits, VPNs, if you're looking into VPN, take Monero. Wallets, web hosting, exchanges. Let's go on community. Yeah, it's a lot of communities. And per country too. There we go. Brazil, Germany, Israel. You have a lot of good stuff on Erica, so check it out. It's pretty cool. It's been around for quite some time too. Okay, now a bit of Qubic or Bybic, because the price is kind of collapsing, and then Orange Friend posted their AI can't add 1+1 and just responds with a single dot to most questions. So much for beating Monero. People ask what's 1+1, and it responded with 114, or a dot, or it's just some bad calculations. And then Tux also posted an oops with their price chart, which is just going down and down. So there we go, a bit of Qubic, maybe Bawdy. Okay, and let's see. I have a couple, let's watch this. I have a couple things on Trump. Okay. This one, we had the big tech meeting where all the techs, got at the table. Mark Zuckerberg, I think her name's Lisa, CEO of AMD, Bill Gates, Tim Cook from Apple, just everybody. Elon Musk wasn't there. But yeah, everybody was there. And Tim Cook's response was kind of funny because everybody was saying, thank you for inviting us. And then Tim Cook just kind of, I remember him kind of pausing and say, thank you, Mr. President, for everything. Yeah, Apple got pretty hit with these things. But yeah, so this one is posted on Twitter by Hustle, which it's all a Psyop. Zuck gets caught on hot mic, and then Trump asked him about some investments, and he gave some investment number. He just pulled it out of nowhere, and at the end you can see what he says after. So let's watch this.
How much are you spending, would you say, over the next few years?
Oh, gosh. I mean, I think it's probably going to be something like, I don't know, at least $600 billion through 28 in the U.S. Yeah.
It's a lot.
No, it's significant.
That's a lot. Thank you, Mark. It's great to have you.
Sorry, I wasn't ready to do it for announcement. He said I wasn't sure what number you wanted to go with.
He said, so he gave a number, and then if you didn't hear at the end, he said, I wasn't sure what number to go with. So just gave you some. Okay, so we have that, and we have two more.
Zuckerberg is based in Red Pill, guys. Don't you know?
It's crazy. I don't want to divide, if you like Trump or not, but whatever person you vote for, if they don't just scream on the mic about things like, privacy, like trying to really, really push privacy, everybody have privacy, and then really, really push education. That's very, very important for us to, live a good life. And yeah, stuff like that, or even food, let's eat better, because so many chemicals in the US, and I guess they kind of worked on it, but really go on it, I don't really trust the person. These things are just important, right? Your education, what you put in your body, and your privacy, and other things. But yeah, and then if he was legit, if he was OG, he would have said, we don't really need to make this world liberty stuff. Just go get Monero. But they can't do that. Okay, two more on this. This is more Epstein stuff. This one is from Tux. It's from you. If you sincerely believe that Donald Trump, who's been lying through his teeth about the files, his own briefing on them, and his own involvement was just an FBI informant to take Epstein down, you're literally oh, dude. Oh, shit. Okay, let's watch it.
I know I'm such an asshole.
Yeah, it's fine.
He's not saying that what Epstein did is a hoax. It's a terrible, unspeakable evil. He believes that himself. When he first heard the rumor, he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. He was an FBI informant to try to take this stuff down. The president knows and has great sympathy for the women who have suffered these unspeakable harms. It's detestable to him. He and I have spoken about this as recently as 24 hours ago. And he's not saying that what...
We got Raphael, LOL. Yeah. Bunch of LOLs.
It's crazy how, it's just unbelievable. I don't know how anyone can genuinely fall for this. Suddenly now, it's just like constantly changing the narrative slightly to match up with what people are finding out to be true. To always paint Trump as this, savior of the situation, as always.
You know what's interesting now, and I've heard even friends or people that I know, but also online, oh, he should just keep running year and year and year, and he should be in just forever, like a dictator. And they even use the word. It's crazy.
I think in this story, what's happening here is a tacit admission. They're like, oh, well, he must be in the file. There would be no reason to to do this kind of stunt if Trump wasn't clearly in the files. So now they need to find a way to explain it away. It's an admission.
Yeah, it's like it's too late. Everyone knows the jig is up. Now they have to continue like adding more to it, you know, making it a Democrat hoax, making it, oh, he is in there, but he was actually in there for a good reason, all this shit.
Yeah, if he had actually been an FBI informant, they would have gone with that angle a long time ago, but they're finding out they probably thought stupidly that they could cover for this and pretend that, you know, make up some other stuff. And, you know, like they probably thought they could evade and distract. And now they're like, well, shit, we have to come up with, you know, they probably had it on the list, you know, just in case. But I mean, it's clearly an admission here.
Well, they better talk to each other and say, you know, what each person said, because, you know, you can get lost in your lies eventually. Like, what if the FBI informant? I don't know about this, but he's not on it, man. Yeah. And this one, Epstein Maxwell survivors asked about connections to Les Wexner, Epstein's alleged financier. Okay. Sorry, guys, if we bore you with this, but, you know, it's, yeah.
Do any of today's survivors speaking, did anybody here ever have any connection or interaction with Epstein's alleged financier, Leslie Wexner?
Nope.
You want to address
I just want to say one thing that's very clear when people say, you know, please share names. There are names that are very well known, like that of Les Wexner, who everyone knows supplied an enormous amount of Epstein's, you know, financial wealth and allowed this operation to happen. So it's, I think, confusing to many of us why there have not been more ramifications for him, and he's been seen as a victim when clearly I believe there's more to it.
Right here, please.
There we go. Okay, so I mean, we'll include some politics. We kind of have to, right? Because that's what we were going against. You gotta show a bit of clownness, right? So I guess, you know, we do a pretty good mix of Monero stuff and then a bit of politics. But yeah, I'm also very curious to cover when Europe is gonna finally decide on whether they want to crack down on WhatsApp and all these things to protect against sex trafficking. I'm curious of what solution they're gonna find to that, and if they're gonna do that, or, you know, find some obviously better solution. But then I have this one from Doug. Monero has two main options: come from beyond, post on X, switch to POS, and enjoy price rise because takers will be accumulating coins to earn more and they won't need to cover burned electricity. Two, keep proof of work or switch to hybrid and experience this every single day. And then we have a fill price and a price over here.
I feel like this really starts to potentially paint some color into the picture of why they are air quote attacking Monero, but then also lying about it to make it look like they destroyed the security and all this stuff. He really seems interested in pushing proof of stake onto Monero recently for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so that was it for this week, guys. Again, you know, if you ever have anything to say in the chat, or, you know, any links that we want to cover live, I take a look too.
You get one interesting news too. Tip 3 cents. What are the social implications of this clip from Amir? I cannot copy that directly, so let me go to the XMR chat website. Then I can copy it. Let's see. So Amir Taki said, how much mushrooms do I gotta take to summon Bahamut? I'm on the 7th iteration. It feels close. Could not really tell you on the social implications of this because I have never done mushrooms myself. Thanks so much, Tony. As always, looks like Doug is AFK at this very moment. So anyone else wants to bring up? Tony, Bawdy? Anything that we should look at?
Let me see.
I don't think I missed any.
I
Super
don't
chats.
have anything. You guys want to cover something? You can post it in the chat, and we can take a look.
It's a quiet day. I think I have something I might want to bring up here if I can find it. All my links are not very organized at all. I can't find it.
I'm back in the driver's seat.
Actually, I do have something too.
I'm not good at stalling. Oh, Tony has something now.
Actually, yeah, no, because it's kind of this is kind of cool. Yeah, so let's just go over that over quick, and then because I just saw it online. I saw it as an ad on Instagram. So it's called. Let's see. I think they have a website too. Okay. So this thing is called Monet, and it's a European social media, which I found interesting. And essentially, it's built for privacy. They really, talked a lot about privacy, how important that is, and then about the algorithm, and stuff like that. So they don't have much information about it. That's why I can't give you too much on it yet. But I think they're launching this month. So eventually, once we have more on this, then we can cover it and I guess see how the privacy is and stuff like that. But it's like if like on social media, you get one post, like on Instagram, you get one post from your friend, and then one is an ad, one is from somebody else, and the algorithm is just horrible. You get so much dumb stuff. No matter how much you try to retrain it, it's crazy. It's stupid. But I guess like on this thing, you can select how much you want to see just from your circle and how much you want to allow it to see from the outside world in your feed. So I think you can make it so that you can only see your friends and that's it.
So you can curate your own echo chamber.
Right, which is cool. But man, it's crazy.
Got some thunder going on.
Oh, you heard that? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna rain soon. But yeah, so I forgot what country made this, but yeah, so once we have more detail about the privacy and the chat system and all of that, and hopefully it's pretty good and secure, we'll cover it more. But I thought this was pretty cool, so I'm curious. And you can join the waitlist, by the way. So you go on monnet.social and you can join the waitlist, which actually I'll do after this. And yeah, so now we're good.
Awesome. Thanks, Tony.
All right. Good stuff. It looks like our special guest is ready and his translator, Alessandro. And it looks like we're going to bring up Jan as well. Let's go ahead and bring those guys up.
Very good.
Let's do it.
And before I do that, I will go ahead and play a clip that was requested for Cake Paddle. So let me go ahead and share this.
Oh, nice.
Okay. I'm going to go, though, guys. So have a good weekend.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, go ahead and run the special guest clip first, and then we'll have it all in that segment.
All right, let's do it. If I can find the right one this time. Oh, new one. Okay, I haven't seen this one yet. Let's do it.
The Monerotopia guest segment is sponsored by Cake Wallet. Store, send, receive, and exchange your Monero and Bitcoin safely on iOS and Android too. Cake Wallet is open source, and you always control your own keys.
Got the new logo in there. Very nice.
All right.
Bringing up my screen right now. All right, let's play this clip.
cause we got one life. One life, live it up cause you don't get it twice. One life, live it up cause you don't get it twice.
Strength in numbers is a force we can max. We raise our flags and put our pride on our back.
I love
there you have
it, man.
Guys. Cake
Oh my
Paddle
God.
powered by Cake Wallet.
Dude, Alessandro is a beast. Get him up here. Let's get him up here.
And who's the other
Hi,
guy?
guys.
Yep.
Alessandro,
how's it going?
what's up, man? Let's get the other guy, Jan.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey, what's up? Wow, so Copa Monero ended and Alessandro just kept on going, man. Full steam ahead. Amazing. I didn't even know you were working on this paddle thing. Looks fantastic. You really got it off the ground.
Tomás, vos traducí nomás.
Dice que se acabó la Copa Monero y que no se esperaban que siguiera trabajando y que ahora andas trabajando con el tema de la cancha de pádel y están completamente impresionados.
Ok, gracias, friend Duke. Hi por Tuxo, Bradley, todo el team. Y bueno, un gusto de volver a estar aquí en Monerotopia también, de estar presentándoles esto, que se estén enterando recién de esto. Estuve mucho tiempo metido aquí para que esto sea un éxito, que pueda salir lo mejor y estar acá en Monerotopia nuevamente, ya pensando en lo que nos tiene que llevar a Monerotopia 2026. Es muy lindo tener otra opción más dentro del ecosistema, no solo en ser un comercio más, un servicio más, sino también en seguir ofreciendo educación cripto, tanto en Monero como en Bitcoin. Y no sé si ya te estoy complicando con esto de la traducción.
He says hi to everyone and thank you so much for having him again in Monerotopia. He's really excited to be here again. He spent a lot of time in Ibarreta trying to get all the construction stuff. For him, it's a pleasure to keep continuing working with you guys and to keep supporting education with Monero. He's looking forward to participate in the next Monerotopia. He's really excited and his project has been really good and there's a lot of education, good education around Ibarreta thanks to Kickback.
Fantastic, man. So can he tell us about this project? How do you get off the ground? How do you get this thing built? What's going on? Are people paying with Monero to play there? Tell us all about the project.
Que nos cuentes un poco del proyecto, que cómo se realizó, cómo se logró, si la gente va y paga con Monero, cómo va el asunto.
Bueno, todo comenzó básicamente allá por enero o febrero, cuando vi mucho resurgimiento del pádel, no solo en Argentina, sino en Sudamérica y en Norteamérica, en Estados Unidos, ni que hablar en Europa. Y en este momento está llegando gente a jugar un mini torneo de mujeres y estoy viendo quiénes están llegando. Surgió en enero, veía mucho resurgimiento del pádel y a su vez veía tweets de Vic Sharma, el CEO de Cake, que estaba viendo mucho tenis, estaba viendo partidos de tenis, iba a mirarlo y seguía mucho a Charlie Alcaraz, jugador profesional de tenis. Y me entró la idea de decir, Argentina es uno de los 2 países más importantes en cuanto a pádel y es algo que está en crecimiento, que no tiene la necesidad de andar haciéndose los finos con algún ecosistema donde lo podamos integrar, decía. Y qué mejor que hacer una cancha de pádel donde se puede generar ingresos y vos podés ir educando y a su vez darle un trasfondo más importante, que sea la primer cancha construida en Monero y también que te pueda llevar a conseguir otros complejos que acepten cripto. O sea, es tomar un terreno verde y explotarlo.
So he started in January. He was realizing that paddle started growing in North America and South America, and Argentina was one of the biggest countries where paddle adoption is bigger. It's actually they have like the best players in paddle around the world. So he saw a lot that Big Rant, the CEO of Cake Wallet, reposted a lot of stuff about tennis and was related a lot of with tennis. So he realized that we should do something similar here that can get adoption, that can bring education, and that can be related to Monero, so we can do a great project. So he talked with Vic and told him about this great idea. He explained about the relation between Padel and Argentina. He was okay with it, so Alessandro started building and constructing, let's say, all the project, with support of Vic, and he had been focusing more on education and adoption in Cake Padel and also in Barreta, to try to get more and more people, more than the people that is also using Monero in Barreta, as you guys can know. And it have been 2-3 months that Cake Padel have been working. He have been receiving a lot of users, and there's plenty bunch of users that are going there and spending their Monero, and really happy to be there. And also they're really happy to get education from Cake Padel.
Y ya hay que ser honestos también, no solo Monero, sino Bitcoin también en gran parte. Vos mismo lo viste, Duke, para que sepas, Tomás Jan también estuvo aquí, estuvo de visita. Él es un joven que trabaja en High Protocol, pero es Bitcoiner. Pero desde que nos conocimos el año pasado en la Blockchain Summit en Colombia, también lo hicimos monerista en cierto punto.
So he says that they also receive Bitcoin in Cake Padel. And I also spent a week in Ibarreta. I was supposed to go to an event in Paraguay, but I met Alessandro 1 year ago, and he told me you should come here. So I took a bus and get to Ibarreta and spend 1 week there. 1 year ago, he made me a good Monero user, and you can see a lot of interesting stuff happening there. There's stores that acts in Monero. There is random people using Monero. It's really cool place.
Yeah, no, I was there. I guess it was 2 years ago now. I don't even know, and I'm sure it's only gotten better now that there's a Cake Wallet paddle court. This is like, it's like a dream. It really is, like, it's just amazing what he's managed to pull off over there.
Déjame contarte algo más. Desde la final de Copa Monero había una sequía, acá no llovía. Siempre teníamos con Sunita el problema del viento, que para la transmisión que había viento fuerte, casi hubo un tornado el día de la final. Pasó la final y comenzó una época de lluvia enorme, mucha lluvia. Y estábamos, no sé, vieron el post de Vic, donde contábamos menos cómo fue, y yo le pasaba la información de cómo iba el proceso de la cancha, todo, y le decía, está lloviendo, y no paraba de llover, eran días y días y días de lluvia que retrasaban, y yo estaba solo aquí, y ahora que viene mi hermano, recién puedo empezar a salir. Ya tenemos capacitaciones en diferentes complejos de pádel en la Argentina y en Paraguay para que acepten cripto como medio de pago, tanto Monero como Bitcoin, Litecoin. Una vez que tenemos Cake Wallet dentro, ya tenemos que estar ocupados de abarcar todas las cripto posibles, más por Vic y por Cake. Si es por mí, solamente Monero, pero tenemos que trabajar para toda la billetera.
So he says that at the end of the Copa Monero, there was no raining. They had no raining season like for 2-3 months. And when he started to build the Cake Padel place, all the days was raining, and he wasn't able to start construction, to start building, because there was a lot of raining. He was not able, and he was alone. He was completely alone trying to build the stuff. So he made it really good, because it took him a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of raining, you know. But at the end, he was able to get it. He's now in contact with a lot of pilot places around Formosa and Paraguay to start onboarding them on Monero. He says also that if it was relayed on him, he will just talk about Monero and put only Monero option on other paddle places. But you know, Cake Wallet is multi-cryptocurrency, so he needs to work for them. But he says that it would be better if it's just Monero around Argentina, Paraguay, and paddle complex.
El objetivo es más o menos llegar a una cancha o 2 complejos cripto, no importa de cuántas canchas, 2 complejos de pádel que acepten Monero, al menos 1 por cada ciudad capital. uno en Bogotá, un complejo en Medellín, un complejo en Ciudad de México, un complejo en Río de Janeiro, un complejo en Asunción, 2 complejos en Buenos Aires, y ahora que tengo más cerca en Resistencia Chaco, en Tucumán, ya que tengo los que son cerrados, ya que tengo que ir a dar la capacitación, y en Formosa Capital, por ejemplo. El objetivo es ese y ya estamos trabajando en eso, pero como decía, estaba tan ajetreado aquí, concentrado en la primer cancha, construida con cripto justamente, que no me permitía salir. Ahora sí comienza una exposición mucho más grande para unificar el pádel junto a las cripto.
So he says that the idea is to start onboarding paddle places in capital cities like in Bogota, Buenos Aires, all the great capital cities, so we can have like a Monero place where to play around the world, more specifically in South America. And in these recent weeks, his brother is going to be there, so he can leave the place and go to more paddle places around Argentina and Paraguay to start onboarding them. I think he needs to go Resistencia in Argentina.
Essentially getting all these paddle places to like accept, to use Cake Wallet and to accept these cryptos? Yeah, very cool.
Construir una cancha en cada ciudad ya sería complicado ya.
Very cool network. I love it, man. This guy's, he's always thinking big. What are some of the other things he's thinking about in terms of trying to grow Monero adoption? I mean, Copa Monero, I would love to hear his thoughts on that. Obviously, I thought that was, to this day, it feels like it was a dream what he was able to pull off with that. I know that takes so much work, but I'm just curious what his current thoughts are on everything.
Él pregunta que tienes grandísimas ideas, tienes muy buenas ideas, ¿cuáles son tus próximas ideas para Monero alrededor de Argentina o en general?
Respecto a Copa Monero, estoy trabajando en Copa Monero. Los clubes aquí me preguntan, la gente quedó muy entusiasmada que cuándo se va a volver a hacer. En realidad estoy viendo otros lugares, otras ciudades, no de aquí, sino de países limítrofes como Brasil, hacerlo más calle, más more street, Colombia o Paraguay, algo que se puede hacerlo similar con la misma cantidad de gente que convocó Copa Monero. Creo que no podemos hacer menos que lo que ya se hizo sin repetir el lugar, o sea, llegar a otros países. Primero eso y después te voy a contar algo más.
So he says that he's working again with Copa Monero. He wants to run again Copa Monero. The local clubs of football are asking always him like, are we gonna have Copa Monero? What is
really?
Okay. What's going on? And he also wants to get more clubs in the near countries as Brazil and Paraguay to start playing and do the same kind of tournament and use Monero.
Amazing.
El problema es llegar a tener la cantidad de gente que se tuvo acá. O sea, ir a la ciudad, armar un torneo más chico de lo que se hizo, pero con el mismo marco de público.
So he says that he's kind of afraid of the amount of people that will go there, but he wants to do like all the effort to try to have like the same capability and the same results.
Ahora, algo para de Copa Monero que para mí fue lo más importante, que no solamente chicos que estuvieron allí en Copa Monero, que trabajaron y ahorraron y que ahora tienen, por el crecimiento del precio de Monero, tienen sus ahorros visto en patrimonio fiat mucho más grande. Uno de los chicos, un chico se llama Gastón, su padre es un señor trabajador humilde, tiene un servicio de construcción, de albañilería le decimos acá, y su padre aceptó la idea de que yo le pague en Monero lo que Vic había transferido también, que se le pague el monto, que eran unos 6 millones de pesos, para construir con materiales incluso la platea para las bases para hacer la cancha de pádel. O sea, se pagó en Monero la base de la cancha de pádel, los cimientos de la cancha de pádel se pagó en Monero, porque el chico trabajó en Copa Monero y ya empezó a aceptar Monero también y sabía cómo cambiarlo y ahorrarlo en eso.
So he says that one of the guys that worked in Copa Monero last year, using Monero, and his father is a construction worker. So Alessandro talking with him, and the father of this guy said, "Yeah, I can help you to build a complex, and I can receive the payment in Monero." So Alessandro paid 6 million in Argentinian currency, around 5,000 and something, to build, and the man received all the money in Monero, and they keep receiving Monero, and there's a bunch of people that keep having Monero from the last Monero Cup, and they have now a lot of money because Monero price have been growing. So there's a bunch of people.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna ask next. Oh,
so have a good sake of
Crear un,
Monero.
crear
That's
un
what I was
puesto
going
de
to ask
trabajo.
next was the effect that Copa Monero had, and if it actually helped the economy down there, and it has, right? Because people won the Monero Prize. That's what you're saying, right? Because there was this influx of Monero into the town.
Yeah, so he have a lot of business people, and but I would say from my personal experience being there that the people that most use Monero would be like the normal people, like local businesses, and not even the biggest store of Vivarreta. So
Por ejemplo,
And I just want to make
si
sure
ven
I
el
understand.
video,
He's saying he built the paddle court with Monero. He paid the contractor Monero. Is that what?
he paid not all the place, but he spent like the base construction in Monero. Other things needed to be paid in Argentinian currency, but the base of the pile complex was paid in Monero.
Dude, that's fucking amazing.
And that came out of Copa Monero. That he met this guy through, or whatever the guy.
Yeah, exactly.
That is beautiful to see, man. That is beautiful to see that it's continuing to grow. I know, when we finished Copa Monero, I know it was kind of like the last thing on his mind, I think, was wanting to do it again because it was so difficult. Like, it took so much work. But I think it's more than paid off. He should be very proud. I've said that in the past. I think Copa Monero itself was a great success. But just the fact that we're seeing these residual effects and that it worked and that it spurred more Monero growth and adoption, he should be very proud. Mission accomplished on Copa Monero, 100%.
Douglas dice que deberías estar muy orgulloso, que has hecho un muy buen trabajo con el tema de Copa Monero, que ellos sabían que querías hacer otra Copa Monero, aunque fuera difícil y complicado de hacerla. Lo mismo orgulloso con el tema de la cancha de pádel, que quedaron también maravillados con eso, y que bueno, que están completamente asombrados y maravillados con eso, y que él, vos me contaste lo del señor que construyó allá, y me dice que la siguiente pregunta era eso, que cuáles eran los efectos después de la Copa Monero con la gente de Ibarreta, si lo seguían usando Monero, en los negocios. Yo le dije que más o menos lo que más usaba Monero era como los negocios locales y la gente normal.
sí, vos que lo conociste y la mayoría de la gente que vio el otro día el post que habían pagado una Coca-Cola y 2 hamburguesas pagando el Monero debajo del gazebo de IPF, que el fin de pasado hubo un torneo grande donde concurrieron más de 300 personas y no me dio tiempo, si bien hubo 3-4 pagos en Litecoin a través de Lemon Cash, usaron Lemon Cash, los acepté, pero eso no los grabé, quise grabarlos de Monero. El chico que pagó las hamburguesas y las Coca-Cola tiene un negocio, tiene una tienda donde vende iPhone, electrónica, indumentaria. Él le había vendido una chomba Lacoste medio pirata a Ernesto, ¿me acuerdo? Bueno, y él tiene Monero, por ejemplo, y él me dijo, yo prefiero pagarte Monero hoy, me dijo, porque él siempre me paga las horas en Monero cuando viene, él da clases también, y me dijo, la hamburguesa te pago en Monero. Entonces le dije al chico que estaba atendiendo, vamos y vamos a hacer un video y vamos a recibirle el pago en Monero, que él quiere pagar en Monero, vamos a aprovechar el marco del público. Y así es, por ejemplo, él tiene un comercio y acepta Monero y tiene Monero ahorrado y me dijo, te pago el Monero, hoy te pago el Monero, me dijo de vuelta.
So he says that there is a guy in Ibarreta that have a technology business. He sells stuff for iPhone, for Android. He always have Monero payments, and he normally goes to the paddle place to play sometimes. And normally he goes to Alessandro and say, okay, I'll play 2 hours, but I'll pay to you in Monero. So he's always happy. And last weekend they had a tournament there, and the sponsor was like one of the biggest oil enterprises of all Argentina, but they were doing payments with Monero and even with Argentinian currency. He made videos there. There is one on Twitter, and that's like one of example of people keep using Monero because the guy is receiving Monero in his business and he goes to spend it with Alessandro.
That is beautiful to hear. On the outset, did Alessandro say that he's going to try to attend Monerotopia in Mexico this year, in Mexico City?
Yeah, he wants to go
amazing.
Monerotopia again.
Fantastic. Look forward to hanging out with him in person, and maybe we can, and I'm sure from going, more projects will come out of that. Right? He'll be around the Monero community that will want to help get things done, and we can figure out how to continue to help grow Monero Town.
Doc, yo creo que recién antes de ingresar aquí vi un posteo de Ernesto de Escuelita Bitcoin. Creo que estaba minando Monero, creo que el 13º día que está minando Monero. Creo que es el mayor aporte que hice, haberlo traído a Escuelita Bitcoin, a la comunidad de Monero para que empiece a minar.
So he says that there is this guy, Ernesto, and he took him there, and he's now mining Monero. He had made some posts on X showing that he is now mining Monero with the platform.
Creo que fue el mejor aporte que hice entre todo lo que hice fue Ernesto. Ernesto está minando en Paraguay.
He says that his biggest effort because now they're mining Monero in Paraguay.
Yeah.
Otra, antes de cerrar, quería agradecerle nuevamente a Vic por la oportunidad, por confiar. Yo no fui a Monerotopia el año anterior por la final de Copa Monero. Hubiese sido un muy buen lugar para conocerlo en persona, pero que haya confiado en mí para hacer esto es algo muy importante para mí, no solo para mí, sino para toda la comunidad aquí, que es en Formosa, justamente. Vos mismo, Tomás, que viniste acá a saber lo que es Formosa y que se anime a dar un salto de calidad, que le dio un salto de calidad a esta cancha aquí, es muy importante y lo que vendrá también en consecuencia, como te digo, el trabajo no se queda aquí, sino que se va a replicar por diferentes complejos para que acepten cripto como medio de pago.
So he says, thank you so much to Vic for supporting and trusting him to build this paddle place. He says that he's sorry for not attending last Monerotopia, but he was in Copa Monero for the final. He says that he hopes you guys enjoy the Copa Monero and his work and his effort, and he's looking forward to keep supporting and participating in Monero-related stuff. And he's also really amazed and excited for going to the next Monerotopia.
Fantastic, man, and I'm very much looking forward to that. And like I said, I think once we're all together, more things will come out of that as well. Maybe we do Monerotopia 2027 in Argentina. Obviously, we thought about it in years past. Maybe now's the time. So we do. Obviously, 2026 is going to be in Mexico City in February, but maybe this is now when we could go to Buenos Aires, do something there in 2027 in that winter, whatever, February 2027. We'll start to look into that.
Dice que allá te esperan emocionados el otro año en Ciudad de México y que capaz en el 2027 la hagan en Argentina, capaz en Comandante Fontana.
Comandante Fontana. No podemos dar detalles de los rendimientos que genera acá el Monero, pero eso sí, el 100% de lo que se genera, de lo que están jugando aquí atrás en este momento, dentro de 2 horas se convierte en el Monero. Si es que no pagan el Monero, se convierte en el Monero y van a las cuentas de los dueños de esta cancha.
He says that he's excited if it's possible to have Monerotopia in Argentina, and also he says that all the people that goes to the paddle place and pay with Argentinian peso or non-Monero, at the 2 hours he take the money and swap it to Monero, so it's 100% a Monero business.
He's a smart man, and I think that will pay off. Obviously I can't promise it'll be Argentina, but I think now could be the time. What does he think about crypto adoption overall right now in Argentina? Obviously, I would imagine things are just getting better everywhere. I mean, is Buenos Aires blossoming as well? Are we really? Does he know? Does he have insight into that? Are we seeing, growing adoption of crypto? Is it people only using stable coins? Does he think adoption might be growing with things like Monero in Buenos Aires as well?
Él dice que lo de Argentina 2027 no lo puede prometer, pero van a procurar. Y pregunta que si sabes cómo está el tema de la adopción en Argentina, si la gente más que todo usa stablecoins, que cómo está la situación, pues porque en otros países
Todos vamos a trabajar para que Monerotopia salga en 2027. Creo que ya van a estar más avanzadas todas las cosas y va a haber más facilidades ya en cuanto a posibilidades. Respecto a la adopción para mí es muy alta en cuanto a USDT. En segundo lugar, Bitcoin Lightning ocupa un puesto muy importante en lo que es Ciudad Autónoma de Buenos Aires, en la capital federal. Pero en el resto del país, USDT es increíble cómo se usa, la verdad. A mí me espanta, porque me terroriza la idea de saber de lo tan gran, tan facilidad con que usan USDT aquí en la ciudad misma. Bueno, acá en Ibarreta nomás ya se usa muchísimo a través de Lemon. Creo que Lemon ganó mucho, Lemon Cash, un exchange centralizado, ganó mucho espacio dentro del mercado a las grandes corporaciones como Mercado Pago o los bancos ya digitales. USDT es lo que más se está utilizando en las demás provincias. Es más, para que se den una idea, yo la cancha, la estructura, los vidrios de glass, las rejas, las luces que vienen en un combo, yo la pagué con USDT. El de la empresa me aceptó USDT. Le dije, Monero, ¿qué tal? No sé, nunca lo conozco. Por las dudas, vamos a lo seguro, USDT. Y me aceptó USDT. Y ahí me di cuenta, en una provincia del norte, de las más pobres del país, que te acepten USDT es un indicio muy grande de lo que está pasando. Ni te quiero hablar allá en Buenos Aires, en Córdoba, en Mendoza, por ejemplo. Ya te hizo una ensalada rusa.
So he says that well, adoption in Buenos Aires is fully on Bitcoin Lightning. There's a lot of Bitcoin Lightning places where you can go and spend Bitcoin Lightning, but in all the country, they're using USDT. He says that, for example, the other pieces required for the parallel complex, he paid them with USDT. He was able to do it, and there was an enterprise. There was not even a single person or a single construction. There was a big enterprise that sell those stuff to him, and he paid fully on USDT. So he says that there is getting more and more adoption of USDT because there is a new exchange in Argentina where you can put USDT and just use a debit card with it, so you don't need to like swap the money. So there's a lot of people getting USDT. And
hay una, como digo, la Lemon Cash es la que está ganando toda la competencia por la que acepta cripto.
Yeah, he says that this app, Lemon Cash, is the one that is getting more and more users onto crypto, and they're getting USDT and spending USDT. So he said that is not a bad point.
Maybe Freedom Dollar could be a good bridge for them too, towards Monero, and like if you're going to use a stable coin, maybe they would consider start using something like that, which is also built into Cake by Zano. I mean, I don't know if it's smart to steer people down that road at this point. I don't know how trustworthy, how reliable it is, but it sucks to just see people using things like USDT, right? Like, if they're going to use, it'd be nice to at least get them using more, censorship-resistant stablecoin.
Dice que el tema del USDT, pues que lo ve como bueno, porque no usan otra cosa, pero pues es como difícil, pues porque la que va a tener mercado. Pero pues ¿qué otras soluciones podría haber?
Mira, por ejemplo, yo además de eso, yo lo que estuve viendo y el otro día lo remarqué en un grupo. Acá en Argentina hace 2 semanas lo metieron preso a un chico, un joven en Buenos Aires, que transmitía los partidos de manera libre. Retransmitía los partidos que había que pagarlo y lo retransmitía en una página web, y todo el mundo en el foro, por ejemplo, Crypto Twitter, era un dios. Lo metieron preso y al otro día tuvo que salir por presión social. ¿Por qué? Porque acá está bien visto justamente eso de los que transmitan los partidos libres, así, porque no hay que pagarle a las corporaciones, porque te están robando con el precio y demás. Y me puse a ver cuando el chico agradeció en las redes sociales que lo habían liberado, se llama Shishi. Veo en los comentarios, uno dice, pero ¿cómo vas a ser tan boludo y no vas a tener una Monero wallet? Y yo me puse a ver entre los 300 comentarios eso, decía, o sea, hay chicos jóvenes entre 18 y 25 años que saben de Monero. O sea que hay un número en crecimiento también menor a lo que es USDT o Bitcoin, pero también está creciendo silenciosamente. Per cápita no te puedo dar números, pero si en Buenos Aires está pasando eso, mi medición siempre es Twitter, y veo que los chicos que no son del palo, que no son de la comunidad Monero, ni de Bitcoin, ni nada, están hablando de cripto y mencionan a Monero. ¿Cómo no vas a tener vos que retransmitir partidos ilegales? no va a tener una Monero Wallet. Y ahí empezó toda una conversación larga, es más, yo te voy a pasar el link y yo decía, bueno, entonces está creciendo también, no es nosotros nomás un grupito cerrado, sino que el lado oscuro también, el lado que para mí es bueno, pero como solo dicen lado oscuro, también está creciendo.
So he says that there was a guy in Buenos Aires that made piracy with matches. So there is some football matches that you need to pay to be able to see them. So he took the transmission and put it for free, and he was receiving money through USDT. So eventually he got caught and he got into jail. So everyone in Twitter and Instagram started saying like, "Are you stupid? Why you don't have a Monero wallet? Why you not using Monero?" So for him, it's amazing because the people that said that is not even related to the Monero community in Argentina. So people between 18 and 25-year-old are starting to use Monero, even without the Monero community.
Wow,
So
that is a very good indication.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I got nothing else at this point. I'm excited to hear that Alessandro is doing better than ever in terms of growing Monero adoption. And I very much look forward to seeing him in Mexico and continuing to work with him and trying to help him grow Monero adoption in Argentina. Any way we can collaborate, I'm always open to any and all ideas with Alessandro. I know he gets the job done. XMR Bazaar, maybe he's got ideas on how we could grow XMR Bazaar more in Argentina. Anarchio is going to be adding a way to basically easily translate the entire site to different languages, so we could have it native in Spanish. And then we're adding forums as well, so there could be like an Argentina region forum, so people could use it also to kind of network on the platform to form communities. So lots of ideas there, but we'd love to hear his thoughts on how we can maybe start to grow XMR Bazaar adoption in places like Buenos Aires.
Entonces, él dice que está muy emocionado, muy impresionado con el trabajo que has hecho con Padel y con Monero, con el tema de la adopción de Monero ahí en Ibarreta y en Argentina. Que definitivamente tiene ideas muy grandes, muy buenas para mejorar la adopción de Monero alrededor del mundo. Entonces pregunta que bueno, ellos ya están trabajando para cambiar XMR Bazaar a español y otros idiomas, a poner formularios y demás, pero quiere saber qué ideas podrías darles para crecer más la adopción de XMR Bazaar.
Hay muchas. Ya si de una, creo que no la había mencionado, creo que hay que colocar puntos efectivos en XMR Bazaar con personas que puedan hacer cambios, pero que en ese caso sí sean confiables por parte de los administradores de XMR Bazaar. No quiero avivar giles acá en la transmisión, como decimos. Prefiero hablarlo así más en privado, pero sí, por ejemplo, agregar puntos efectivos es lo que falta en XMR Bazaar en diferentes ciudades del mundo, capitales, donde se concentra mucho más el mercado que no solamente en ciudades chiquitas. No vamos a encontrar demandantes de Monero diferentes, pero hay que apostar a las ciudades grandes. Yo apunto por colocar puntos efectivos en las ciudades grandes con personas verificadas por la administración de XMR Bazaar. Pero eso es algo para hablarlo más en privado.
O sea, vos decís como cuevas de Monero, como listadas en Buenos Aires.
No, o sea, no serían, ponerle que son cuevas, pues llamarle el nombre cueva, yo lo llamaría más puntos cash, o sea, cajeros automáticos que son personas verificadas por la administración. ¿Para qué? Para que todo aquel que vaya a una ciudad grande pueda encontrar un punto seguro donde cambiar.
Okay, so he says that one of his good ideas will be to put cash places. So what it means is that, for example, in Buenos Aires, you can go XMR Bazaar and search for places where you can sell your Monero and get Argentinian currency. And the guys that are going to be doing those exchange transactions needs to be validated by the administration of Monero Bazaar, so you know that they are trusted and everything is going to do well. It's like physical peer-to-peer.
Yeah, that's a. I mean, definitely adding like the existing Cuevas and even things like that. Right? Because there's already Cuevas out there that exist that accept crypto, right? Even just putting those on XMR Bazaar as trusted places, and then obviously people would rate it. They would say whether or not these Cuevas are legit, things like that. And then eventually getting them to put up bonds, because XMR Bazaar has a bonding system, so they could post a bond, and that will kind of add to their credibility and give them an insurance, so to speak. Yeah, so that could be a great avenue, going after the Cuevas and getting them added to XMR Bazaar. That would be fantastic.
Él dice que la idea está muy buena y que aguanta, y que de pronto también pueden hacer como un sistema de reputación y de bonos para verificar que de verdad trabaja.
People listing Airbnbs would be great, right? Things like that. If they were also listing it on XMR Bazaar, because they, why use Airbnb? Why pay the large fees that they take? Just accept Monero directly, right? So if they're already posting Airbnbs, that would be a good group of people to go after as well. Try to get them to post on XMR Bazaar, and then maybe you have Americans, whatever, that would rather pay with Monero than go through Airbnb, things like that. Obviously, getting people to post just like their consulting services on there would be great. Things like that.
Él dice que también sería muy buena idea.
We've seen properties go up for sale on XMR Bazaar in Argentina, in Buenos Aires. So that's obviously a great use case as well.
Dice que sería muy buena idea como poner, por ejemplo, Airbnb en Monero Bazaar, que puedas poner tu Airbnb, recibir pagos en Monero, o como usuario pues ir y rentar un Airbnb, pagarlo con Monero, que sería como el siguiente paso de tipo de negocio a adoptar, y que también, por ejemplo, él ha visto los terrenos que se venden en Argentina por Monero. Entonces que lo ve como también como idea posible, viable.
Es bastante bueno, sí. Pero yo creo que también ahí en ese punto habría que ver cuánta demanda hay de eso también. Más donde suelen ir la gente, que es Córdoba, Mendoza, Buenos Aires, creo que apuntar allí sería. Pero llegar hasta ahí, hasta esos oferentes, es un punto crítico donde deberíamos hacer un trabajo de hormiga, como decimos aquí.
So I guess that definitely is a good idea. It would be cool to try like in mini cities, well, not mini cities, like not the capital of Argentina, but the capital of other states in Argentina, and do it step by step, so we can guarantee like many adoption, and then it will grow real quick.
Yeah. We could talk about this offline. I just want to thank you guys both again. Greatly appreciate it. Yeah, Alessandro, information you want to put out there? Now's the time. Anything you want to shill? Anything you want to?
Lo que quieras contar, que contarlo.
Sí. Antes que cerremos, te quería decir, Duke, que hay gente de otro ecosistema que están queriendo quitar Copa Monero, y hacer otra copa, otra cripto,
That is other cryptocurrency ecosystem that wants to run something like Copa Monero in Ibarreta. So yeah, so
hype, Copa
me.
hype.
I want
really?
to run something similar.
No, yeah. Wow.
I mean, I was there.
Maybe they could team up and right?
Yeah.
Because that could help you.
They just to have like the Monero team and my cryptocurrency team, so we can do a good match and have a good cup. And we are not against Monero. We support Monero. So we'd be really crazy to have Monero. To play.
Yeah. But I'm saying maybe combine force, keep Copa Monero, but get Hive involved, so it's just not repetitive efforts.
Yeah, that's
it'll be just a larger event. I don't know.
Yeah, we can keep betting more and more.
I'll let you figure that out. All right, yeah, let's leave it at that. Obviously, if you guys can hang around, we're gonna do viewers on stage. If you can't hang around, no worries. But yeah, we'll leave it at that. Unless Alessandro, does he have any last words? Anything he wants to put out there? Any information?
Que si tienes algo que decir antes de irte, que si te quieres quedar, que si podemos seguir hablando, que si no, pues hasta aquí llegó.
No, el tema es que vos estés ocupado o no. Yo no me tengo que ir a almorzar, todavía no almorcé. Y vos tampoco, creo. Claro. Pero antes que nada, thanks for translate a my friend Jan. for translate. Y thank for the support a la community, a la comunidad.
Awesome.
Hablarle, decirle.
¿Qué le dijiste en inglés? He said, thanks you guys for having him. Thanks for the support and your like effort to try to get Copa Monerotopia to place, and also he's excited for being here, and he's excited to look forward for next Monero stuff in Argentina and more locally in Ibarreta.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you again, guys. We'll be in touch. Alessandro knows where to find me if he needs me in any way. He always has a invitation here anytime he ever wants to come on, give us an update on things that are going on, ideas he has for growing Monero adoption in Monero Town in Buenos Aires. This is, he's always welcome here.
Dice que bueno, que gracias a vos por venir, que siempre tiene las puertas abiertas, que cuando quiera venir a Monerotopia nomás es que le digas, y que siempre tienes espacio ahí para hablar, y que bueno, que muchas gracias.
All right, guys. Adios.
See you.
Muchas gracias. All right. Awesome to see. Tux, I don't know if you're there.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I mean,
yes,
when we came off of Copa Monero, I know he was like burnt out. It took a lot out of him. I'm like, oh man, I hope he's like doesn't walk away from this whole trying to grow Monero thing in Ibarreta. Because while it was a great success, it was just a lot of work. But I think he saw that it. And the other day it was a success, especially when the winning team took home their prize, which ended up being I think something like 40 XMR or more, and then the price was going
quite a
up.
juicy amount, and
yeah,
worth even more now.
Yeah, so I think they all did very well from that, and we're continuing to see Monero Town grow from it. So very exciting. All right, let's go ahead and run viewers on stage, and we'll have some open chit chat.
Cool. Let's do it.
The Monerotopia Viewers on Stage segment is sponsored by XMR Bar. Play dice with Monero using a privacy-respecting and provably fair algorithm. Go to xmr.bar. As always, verify and never trust.
Please gamble responsibly in accordance with the laws of your jurisdiction.
All right.
I just switched from P2 Pool Mini to P2 Pool Nano and upgraded my P2 Pool to the latest version. So I am continuing to mine on P2 Pool.
Nice. Always leading the charge.
I only
Never
have one
afraid of
question.
change.
My only question for today is my big gripe is reproducible builds. Monero official wallets do it, and Feather Wallet does it. None of the mobile wallets do it. So when you say trust the code, do you build every version? Every time there's an update, do you build that? I mean, I build a few, but I don't build all. And even the developers can't tell you that the binary that you download matches the code. So you trust the code, okay, but do you trust the binary? That doesn't make sense to me. So what do we do next?
It's a good question. I never understood really what the solution was there. I don't know if Tux or Alaska, you guys have commentary on that. That's out of my wheelhouse.
I do actually. So I've been working for quite some time on the idea of like a foundation, but I've come to the conclusion that you would want probably 3 foundations, and all with somewhat competing interests for the purposes of isolated and separate code auditors to be checking the reproducibility of builds as a perfect example. And we've gotten to a point now where the funding for having code audits and developers, it's not only drying up, but there's just not enough people to do it. So I've been working on that for quite a while. I don't know why it keeps coming up, but Chloe has also been trying to help me work on that for quite a while. But really, what it amounts to is you have to have some kind of separate foundation or several separate foundations that are actually working on checking the reproducibility of builds, checking code, and checking to see if binaries match and stuff like that. It's really the only way we're going to get there is if this new world evolves to the point where we have the resources to check these independent developers.
So my only comment is that they've created guidelines. So you could say like, do this instead of that, or do this instead of that. It's like a whole thing, and you don't have to. You're talking about checking the code. Checking the code is a whole different thing. All you have to do is check the hash. That's what they do for the Monero official builds. We need that more prolific. And the only reason why people don't do it, and I'm telling you, this is the absolute truth, is that it's a little bit harder to do, but not enough people are clamoring for it to happen. If enough people start saying this matters, then it will happen.
That's one of the reasons why I think the foundation thing is the way to go, is because people are looking for reputable agencies. I'm very much like a self-verify guy as well, but trying to do it with everything that you do is exhausting, for one. And then for two, a lot of people, they don't even understand, like, you know, what verifying with the hash and all of that is. We're looking for like what's that Tech Freedom Foundation, or I forget what it's called off the top of my head.
EFF?
Yeah, Electronic Freedom Foundation. We're looking for like more of those to be constantly auditing different projects, especially if they're becoming like widely adopted. You're looking for people to kind of coordinate their efforts on just knocking out one at a time to make sure that they're maintaining those standards. And if somebody like the EFF comes out and says, hey, this doesn't have a reproducible build, and that's one of the standards in this area, or this person has major problems in their code, or having those watchdog institutions, a lot of the times it's not even dishonest. They just don't know any better. I mean, how many people nowadays are people learning to code on their own and don't know all of the old, I get like all of the old ways of doing things right. You know, they're going to the University of ChatGPT and just cranking out projects, and good on them. That's awesome that people are learning how to do stuff and they're making it happen. But having some kind of like, or I guess I should say having more watchdog institutions that maintain that kind of reputation and are making sure that up and coming projects, existing projects, and so on are meeting these standards is something that we really need. And it also would have the effect of, even though I hate governments and lobbies and all of that other stuff, you kind of inadvertently build yet another lobbying institution for the freedom of the modern digital world.
Let's put it this way. I have an automated build on my localized computer. It builds everything, and I turn off automatic updates. You have reproducible builds, so I check, okay, like once it builds, okay, checks out, okay, then I download it from whatever source it was. I download the same binary, it's fine.
F-Droid I know for a fact that F-Droid is encouraging people to do reproducible builds. From what I understand, about 20% of their apps currently do it. I think the big thing might just be an education barrier where a lot of developers don't know how to do it. And I think that might be the biggest thing. So developers need to know how to do it, and then users need to know how to check it. And I think those are the big stumbling blocks for reproducible builds.
How can we educate them? Because there are good guidelines that are very easy to follow.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Is it can be done, and it would be easy to kind of like spread it into the culture if you had some kind of institution that was being funded and maintained by the general community, and it wouldn't take much if those people were finding and catching these people, reaching out as a reputable organization and say, here's some build guides. If you need help, let me know. And then if they're not getting good faith responses, if they're not getting movement on that, then they could say, would you like somebody to join your project and help you? And if that's still not working, then they can basically put out a public notice that says, we've tried, here's our evidence. We've tried in good faith to get these people to follow the proper standards and practices. It's not that hard to do. But for now, we can no longer recommend this app, or we can no longer recommend this build, or whatever it is. But one of the problems is you'll find one, let's say app, for example, a lot of people are going there and finding out it doesn't have a reproducible build. So that means over and over again, people are going through the same process and wasting their own time only to find out that this guy doesn't meet the standards that they should meet, as opposed to one institution doing all of the steps necessary to not only check to see if it's there, but then try to help them get there. And then if they're still not getting there, making other people aware in the community that this project is not meeting these standards. And so what it does is it saves time within the community. It saves time for the users. And it also provides like an escape valve for the developer to meet those standards with good help. And then once they do it one time, their next project will do it over and over and over again. That's why I think that this is a really good place for some kind of small scale institution to be cranking out these projects of one guy at a time, checking to see if they're meeting the standards. And not just the one standard, it should be a lot of standards. Like, is this truly free code is a really obvious one, or are they using the modern security standards and all that other stuff. And I'm speaking a little bit over my head on this one because I am no developer. Like, I'm nowhere close to the kind of person that could like expertly knock this out. But that's why I'm trying to focus on creating and funding an institution for that purpose.
That sounds like a really good idea. And I support that as a secondary kind of thing, as opposed to bitching about it as like an inner circle that leads to a, like, not the most inner circle, but is a little bit outer, like, inner circle, and then that will complain and make awareness. I think we need to make more awareness of the fact that this is something that's important, and we can start here. This is Monero Talk. This is a place where we can talk about things and make things like uplifted. I think this is the right place to start.
Yeah, and it's something that like can be done relatively easily. Like, rather than, when you look at some of these other projects that we talk about, like, like Freedom Hardware or whatever, like, it's a lot of them, they take this massive undertaking of but this is something that we could do relatively quickly, relatively cheaply. And another thing that I really like about it, because we've talked about on this show before, in fact, to his credit, Luke Parker came on and talked about, funding is a real issue if you want to be a Monero developer, because you have to take this big hit in your own financial and personal career to do something that you believe in. And some people were like, oh, that's bullshit. He's like a greedy developer. And it's like, bro, the guy could be making like piles and piles of money, but he's doing this. And that is a serious problem in being a Monero developer, is we're not meeting like the kind of pay scale that, that matches the quality of the guys that we need. And any company doing that would probably fail. Like, we just happen to have the fact that Monero is like a really just cause on our side that allows so many people to be willing to take that kind of hit. But if you created an institution like this, you could have like talented but still mid or lower tier developers checking on these standards, familiarizing themselves with projects, getting paid to do it. And they're saving everybody else in the community massive amounts of time. So if you think of how much you're spending for something like this versus how much you're gaining from something like this, you could almost think of it like a hugely profitable endeavor for the freedom community, because you can pay relatively talented people decent money to sharpen their skills, and they can be cranking out project after project very rapidly. But then everybody else in the community is benefiting from the fact that there's this curated list of, we've gone through these people, they meet the standards. We've gone through these people, they don't meet the standards, or we're working on it. We've gone through these people and they're not showing good faith in meeting those standards. And it would be useful for repositories. It would be useful for users. And the main thing is all of a sudden, like, you know, script kiddies and very low tier, technically savvy people will have a place that they can go where they don't have to become power users in order to understand, like, this is a known good project that other people have demonstrated can be relied on. And over time, you'll start to see all of these little institutions like, you know, EFF and all of these other, you know, the creation of what I'm talking about. Now they can start to coordinate their efforts. So all of a sudden, you don't have a bunch of institutions redoing the same work over and over again. Or another thing is, like, let's say you're, for example, you know, the graphene project. If you're looking to add some kind of utility, right? So you know how they have like a phone and messenger and all that, and they try to keep it like small and simple. Well, let's say that the community is clamoring for another utility to be on the base graphene. Well, now they have a list of projects that they can pull from to shorten their efforts to getting to that next utility that they want to add to their project, because they already know this is reproducible, or this has good code, or this meets these standards, or whatever. It's going to speed up the development of other projects as well if we were to pull something like this off. And I have found people that are willing to run it for either free or just whatever costs they incur for doing it, that are totally qualified to pull it off. I have found some decent chunks of funding, and I'm working with certain people to try to find other projects that would be interested in seeing this happen, that could just throw their moral support behind it. So appropriately skilled individuals would be willing to come on board with the project. But I do still have a long way to go. And, you know, if you're telling me, bro, that you would be interested in helping me keep this moving, I would definitely love to partner with you on trying to get it all the way across the finish line.
I'm saying yes. And also, I like your ideas. And I especially like the idea of finding ways to give more funding to the people that are doing things maybe out of heart. And probably, no, they're doing things out of heart. And because there's not being compensated right. We could do better to them. And I think we should. And I want to leave it off at that note right now, though, because I think probably other people have the other views. Other people on stage want to say some things.
I don't know if we could reuse this in some way or not, but the Meshtastic team, for example, has just created a something very similar to this, where they work with hardware partners, and their hardware partners have official support for these devices. And by working with the Meshtastic developers directly, the hardware partners have a direct line to the developers. And when they see a problem, they can be like, hey, this is a problem. Can this be fixed for the official firmware? And for that effort, they pay a little bit of the hardware sales to the Meshtastic developers so that those people can be paid instead of having to work for free. And so there's officially supported devices that have that arrangement. And then there's community supported devices where if a piece of hardware is just old and the official, like the company has moved on, and they don't want to support it anymore, the community can still support it if they want to, or they can drop it if they want to, and that's a choice. I don't know if we could use something like that or not, since we're not doing any kind of hardware sales, or if we could modify that structure in any way to make it work better for us.
That's like a really good idea for supercharging all of this. I would imagine a lot of the ideas I've discussed too aren't, I mean, they did come out of my brain, but I can basically guarantee you they're not original, like other people have thought of doing kind of what I'm saying. And I would say that trying to get the developers and hardware designers to interact more closely is just, that would be beautiful.
Yeah, I think it would require some modification for our purposes, since we're mainly talking software, so we don't have any like physical hardware pipeline or anything like that. But there's got to be some way of modifying a system like that to work for us to get some more funding for our developers.
Well, I like a lot of what I was thinking about. It kind of came out of, you know, not to date myself or whatever, but I loved the Free Software Foundation, and I felt like, you know, they were one of the few people that were really maintaining their principles. But I kind of feel like a lot of the people who do that, they've either aged out or, you know, they're like fresh blood isn't coming in as fast as it's growing. And, you know, you always see people with their dinosaur laptops talking about like no progress. And I just want to see something similar, get some fresh blood into it, and be more open to the direction that communities want to go, and try to get those communities to adopt the standards that used to be commonplace in like in the Freedom Bro world. What everybody think of the paddle court?
Well, I wasn't able to see the original clip. I don't know. I'm assuming this place is already constructed like it's an actual place where you can go, but it seems pretty neat from what I can.
Yeah, it's like working, and people are playing on it, and they're making money, and it's worked. I don't know if you caught it, but Vic just decided like, yeah, sure, I'll invest in this, and he totally did it, and he's even getting returns now. He beat me to it. There's another guy, he usually goes by Delph Cook. I've been saving up money and working out a strategy to get refrigerated containers out there. And I wanted to help him basically build like a fresh fruit and vegetables storage facility. So people who are farming out there would be able to put all of their fresh produce in those containers and then move it by the truckload to like the larger regional cities like Formosa. So basically they could both farm and store, like have cold storage, and then they could scale up their logistics operations. So they would be able to move like serious volume to larger towns and cities. And it would be like a really good avenue for, even if you were like a person of very little means, we would even provide you with like seeds and stuff, or you could harvest like local natural foods and then get them to a cold storage place until all of the volume can be aggregated and sold to the markets.
I think that's great. If Monero's projects can make their way into the physical world like that, I'd love to see that.
Tux, if you can, I think there's one or two more people who might want to come up.
Yeah, it looks like Michael 10 had some proof of work ideas. I know that from his Twitter feed, he's been talking about integrating proof of work into like games and stuff. Maybe that's where he's, I don't know, we'll see.
Hello.
it was a little quiet. Can I jump on about proof of work real quick?
Please.
So
go ahead.
Proof of work. Yeah, I've followed a little bit of the whole discussion of proof of stake from Monero or whatever, and I saw part of the video last night with Dr. K. I think that was interesting. And I'm very much in the camp of probably proof of work is the best way to go and stay. Like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now, arguably people are trying to break it, it seems like, or something like that. But you know, it seems like there's probably ways to make sure it keeps functioning, would be my assumption. There's very intelligent individuals who know much more about cryptography than probably most all of us here, at least me, that I think can figure out a way. But sort of, I very followed the whole like some of the hard forks on other cryptos before, like, you know, Ethereum went proof of work eventually, and I'm not quite sure how that's going, but I'm assuming it had some unintended consequences. But I feel like, you know, there's that book Hijacking Bitcoin. I feel like if Monero went proof of work, then in 5 or 8 years you're going to see a book like Hijacking Monero, but I could be wrong. So yeah, but I didn't follow it super closely. I mean, I think a lot of people know the details of the whole discussion a lot more than me, but my general understanding is, sounds like due to the qubit, this has sort of come up, and how much of this has been like, you know, engineered, like, you know, hard to say, right? So I don't know.
What was that you were talking about in order to get more proof of work, integrating it into smart games?
I mean, one easy solution in theory, if you could just like up the hash rate tremendously, exponentially, orders of magnitude, okay, well, problem solved, I would assume. So, I mean, you know, like I tried mining Monero years ago, and, you know, various times just for fun, you know, curiosity, sort of hard. I fired up XMR rig the other day, super easy. So, you know, as time goes on, like things always get better. It's easier to use. Recently, I've been messing around with the Godot game engine a lot recently. And like with Godot game engine, it's open source and you can build like anything with it. Like you could even build non-games with it because it has a whole like interface as part of its engine. So like I was thinking about the idea of like, you know, I've talked about decentralizing everything before, as far as like, you know, with you know, the GitHub is owned by Microsoft. I mean, everybody uses GitHub, and certain, you know, things use GitLab or whatever instead, or Forgeo or Gatia. But you know, so like, yeah, what if you could decentralize GitHub? There's efforts to do that a little bit, like ForgeFed or whatever. But then like, as far as decentralizing like Steam, for example, so, you know, there's Steam and Epic Games. And, you know, Epic gives a lot of games away for free, but they're all like closed source and proprietary in a lot of ways. So, you know, if you could somehow decentralize Steam and then build a game engine, because, and then years ago, gosh, probably 7, 6, I don't know, not 2019 maybe. There was these WordPress. I've used WordPress quite a bit, and there was WordPress plugins called. Can't remember the name of it right now, but you could basically mine Monero in your browser with WordPress plugins. So I had it set up so I could go on my WordPress site and it would just start mining Monero. And you could click start and stop or whatever. And CoinHive, it's called CoinHive. And so it's a very low hash rate. It's not enough to like, you know, like make a bunch of money. But in theory, so, you know, WordPress is like on what, 20 or 30% of all websites. So it, you know, of course it needs to be done with like the consent of the user, and it can't be done in a shady way. But you have all these like social media sites now, and there's like Monero.town, which is sort of like a Reddit sort of clone with on Lemmy or whatever, which I think is pretty freaking awesome. So, you know, if you had it somehow where you had like an alternative to Steam or all, you know, a website ecosystem where people are just, you know, like instead of death by 1,000 paper cuts, it's like mine massive amounts of Monero with, you know, millions of users doing tiny amounts of hash rate. So like the long tail, basically, instead of having a whole bunch of big miners, a bunch of tiny miners. So if you had a whole gaming ecosystem where, like, if you built in some way to mine Monero in a way that wasn't going to disrupt the frames per second in the game, well, if you had a whole gaming ecosystem where everybody was at the same time also mining Monero and with small amounts of hash rate, you make it add up to a great amount of hash rate. You know, same thing if you had a whole website ecosystem where people are, you know, mining Monero in their browser with JavaScript, which is what CoinHive was. I mean, you could have a huge amount of hash rate if you have millions of people doing this. Now, of course, how do you get millions of people to do it? I mean, if you look at the Steam stats, there's hundreds of thousands of people playing various games at any one point. So now it's probably technically feasible, but then it's the whole like network effect, which is the problem. And that's sort of the gist of my thinking. I won't keep taking up everybody's talk time. But yeah.
What I think is cool about it is also kind of solves another problem if you can make it work, which is a lot of games have trouble with authenticating that you have a person actually playing the game, and you're trying to deal with bots. Well, wouldn't it be cool if you force them to use a certain amount of hash power on their browser to be able to play the game, and then it makes botting difficult? And then you can keep the game free, because what pays for the game is that hash power has to be allocated to the provider of the hosting.
Anything
yeah, go ahead.
Anything browser based is likely to be a non-starter, because basically all browsers have now integrated like those crypto miner jacker things into the browser to stop that, because there was this big wave a while back where people were surreptitiously taking other people's like computer CPUs in the browser and mining crypto with them in the background without telling the user. And so a lot of browsers have put the kibosh on that. Firefox, I know, did. Chrome did. A lot of the main browser engines did that because of that exact problem.
Yeah.
Would it work with like some little open source game that people put up on like F-Droid?
On what website?
Well, the other thing is there's almost certainly a way around that, though. Like it's even if like on your browser there was some kind of like extension that was already approved that was basically like, this is an authenticator for a game engine, and so there was some kind of like security token for like bypassing, blocking Java based mining. You could probably figure that out pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, if it's open source, create a pull request. I mean, and then whether it gets merged or not, that's a whole other question. But people could, there's a whole new effort to create different new browser engines right now. I can't remember what it's called. I can't remember the name of it, Ladybird or something. And there's also Florp, which is a Firefox fork.
There's Ladybird, Servo. I know of those two. They're actually separate browser engines.
Yeah. So, same thing. Like I've been playing a lot of Ultima Online recently, which is, a game from 30 years ago. And there's all these free shards, same with World of Warcraft and stuff. But, you download like a launcher, and it's basically like a glorified zip engine downloader. And that could be built for, open source Godot game. Or you could build a whole, with Godot, because you can build whole apps. You could, the Steam app itself, you could basically build with Godot if people wanted to have a crypto gaming ecosystem. With Monero, rewards, mining, whatever else.
I wonder if the XMR bar people have thought about doing stuff like this.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I was even thinking for XMR Bazaar, but I think I don't know. I think one of you touched upon it. It's the way Monero currently is. With RandomX, it's not efficient to mine in browsers. I guess, like you said, it's because of JavaScript issues. I'm not really sure what the issue is, but
it doesn't. The thing about it is it doesn't really matter how efficient it is. And what I mean by that is, if you're integrating the idea of it's two things. It's an authentication measure, and then the other thing is it provides a funding stream for whoever is providing like the hosting for the game or providing the storage of your character or whatever. And another thing that I really like is you could even like integrate wallets in such a way where, like, let's say you have a game that has multiple shards and you wanted to carry a character from one shard to another. You could use that wallet as a validator that this is like a real person that was actually on this server shard for a given period of time. And like basically they're a paid customer on another shard and they want to transfer over to this shard, or they want to have like this character also on this other shard. All of a sudden, like, it opens up all kinds of cool stuff that a game developer could do. And the user doesn't really care so much about how much Monero is actually being generated, because they're doing it for the purposes of playing the game or, activating the service or whatever. And then on the other side of things, it's not about doing it efficiently because it just becomes a revenue stream. So think about it this way, like, Google AdSense, right? The website makes, you know, a tiny percentage compared to like what Google is making. Even if both the user and the person being paid in Monero, even if there's this huge loss in like efficiency of mining, it doesn't matter because they're both getting paid and the authentication is being taken care of. And it makes it worth it because the ability to validate the authenticity is almost enough value in and of itself to just be running this at a loss.
Yeah, I hear you. But it was cool, like Michael Ten said, when something like CoinHive existed. I remember that as well. It was really cool. I never used it, but I remember being excited about the fact that it actually existed. And yeah, it was as simple as like downloading a WordPress plugin. And at that point, at that time, it was efficient to mine in the browser. But because of RandomX, that's no longer the case. But like I said, I don't know technically what would need to change to make it essentially competitive again. I hear what Alaska's saying; it doesn't need to be, but I do think this is the way. I do. I was bringing this up as well. Like I don't know what the idea is, but I do think there's something there, right? Just the fact that any CPU could essentially mine Monero. There's got to be a way to kind of like gamify that and give people the incentive to have Monero mining in the background on their CPU for some purpose, where they're getting some additional attribute, right? Whether it's participating in a game or whatever it may be. I do think there's something will be invented that will inspire.
Or maybe it's not
there.
browser based. Maybe it's happening on the computer and then it's just providing a certificate to the browser. So like you have something, it's like a fork of XMR or XMRig or peer-to-pool or something like that. And basically you provide this like this validator certificate that says this is running in the background.
Yeah. Exactly. And I was actually asking ChatGPT about writing GD script is the scripting language in Godot, and in ChatGPT was basically saying, yeah, no, that's not really practical. It'd be like trying to do it in Python. You know, the XMRig is programmed in like C or C++, and it's just like it's going to be inherently more efficient, and you can't really script it that well. And it is an aside, if you ever fought, you know, FMPEG, which underlies like a lot of the video encoding on the internet. FMPEG, if you go on their Twitter, they promote programming in assembly. It's sort of entertaining. So I wonder if there was an XMR miner handwritten in assembly, if it'd be even way more efficient than anyone that exists. Like, I don't know. I think that's I'll ask ChatGPT that later. So learn assembly, people.
Generally, Generally, the lower the language you get, the more efficient it's going to be, but the more foot guns you can run into. So C++ has a lot more foot guns than something like Rust, for example.
Oh yeah, not being memory safe like Rust.
Yeah, that's the issue. Have you guys seen the podcast that Lunduke has done about this one problem coming up because of Rust, and as well as Nix? Like, the fan base is so extreme that other people are avoiding them. So yeah, Rust is good, but yeah, at least we have to make sure it's safe Rust, not unsafe Rust.
I have the problem of being too extreme to be adopted by the normies as well.
Zig is also good, but yeah, Zig is not memory safe, but its speed is great, like even faster than C.
I like that Steam could accidentally become the majority mining pool. It's like that would be like the qubits or whatever it was, Qubic on crack. If Steam is just like mine in our pool for free skins or whatever, like you would immediately 90% hash rate. Like
that's give me an idea. So I wonder if the Steam, like putting a game on Steam, if you could put one on that mines Monero. Like whenever I talk with ChatGPT about it, it's always like, oh, you need the consent of the user, and yeah, of course, duh. But if you had a very clear game on Steam, which was like the mine Monero game, and nothing was hidden, it was not sneaky, and it's just like you're gonna mine Monero, and that's the game. and that could be on Steam. Like I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, gaming is a very good vector to enhance, to spread our ideas or of privacy. But the thing is, Steam, I don't think it will be a good platform because they're very anti-crypto. Because I think that the DeFi guys started doing those crypto game play to win stuff, but it got scrapped. Even like Palworld, this one, our favorite Pokemon with guns, that game is also getting trouble because of lawsuits. So yeah, I think the gaming will be the next sector through which the crypto industry will go. Even the privacy industry will go if we play our cards right. But I think we have to do it separately from Steam because we have seen what happens. All those games. Yeah, Palworld is great for hyper capitalism, but you see what
love
happens.
that game.
Of course, that's why I say the Monero community should try those games like Helldivers 2, Palworld, as well as EVE Online. Those are very good sectors for encouraging mass adoption of cryptocurrency or privacy coins. Yeah, I'm
EVE
very
Online
serious
is like
because
the abyss. You never come out. You're stuck forever.
yeah, that's the issue. Means we could use those platforms to encourage more users. Yeah, it's a minority. Means 30,000, 40,000 players are there, but still, it's a huge number.
So I was thinking like you make a Steam game where it's like a race. So basically like the longer you're mining on the Steam game, like you climb the ladder for how much Monero you've mined or how much hash power you've attained or whatever.
I think you get make like a simple like idler game, right? Something that people will use sitting on the shitter, right? And it's just something that they can play. And then the longer that they play or longer that they mine, right? It just adds bonuses, so you get like more in-game kind of bonuses and things like that. It could be like
you gotta have like badges for having found a block or badges for having reached a certain amount of hash power
or
badges
like badges for running it for 6 days consecutively or something like that.
Yeah.
That would be
Can we work that into XMR Bazaar? That would be
fuck yeah, you could. Like no shit, like you can totally work it out. Or you could be like, if you get this badge, we'll give you like a badge on the website that matches it. Like this person contributed this much hash power on Steam.
Yeah, like it could be like a different set of badges on XMR Bazaar instead of like the Liberator and the supporter one.
No, I mean like mining via like if there was a one-click miner on XMR Bazaar too, right? That like puts you in P2 pool and generates a badge like you're a contributor to XMR Bazaar via mining, right? So anytime you're like logged in to XMR Bazaar, you're mining. But this is getting around these issues we're talking about. I was talking to ChatGPT about this as well, and obviously I don't know.
You'd have to get around those crypto jacker blockers that the browser has put in place.
Right.
Does XMR Bazaar have a software section?
There's a lot of developers.
You ever heard of itch.io? Itch.io it's sort of like Steam, but it's like online. Like XMR Bazaar could have a whole like sell your app that thing. The XMR Bazaar App Store sideload APKs.
Oh yeah. There's no reason why people can't post things like that there. Yeah. I guess yeah.
I love the idea of a one-click miner on XMR Bazaar. I think any one-click miner anywhere is a fantastic idea, and it would be so great if that could be integrated to somehow make gift cards that could be spent on XMR Bazaar or something like that too.
Yeah, I mean the thing is you're getting such a small amount of Monero, but it could kind of be like that's the other thing, moving the decimal place, right? Like if you get some picos, it shouldn't be like 0.0001 whatever XMR. It should be like whatever. You've just got 1,000 picos.
Or you get a coupon.
Changing the denomination, I think, would also help with these ideas of basically micro mining and building micro miners into things.
I was actually gonna call Yulia about the idea of making like a little graphic for every like third decimal place. So like you have the Monero logo for like one XMR, but then you should have like a little like a what's it called emoji for like, you know, 1/100th or 1,000th of an XMR, like, and you just keep going down the chain where like there's like an emoji and a logo for like each denomination, and people just start to recognize it as like, you know, oh, this one is 1,000th of this one is 1,000th of this one, because that can train the normie brain into thinking of the value of each one of them, just like they did with currency.
That's why when I denominate prices, I always say millinero, because millinero is 0.001 Monero, but you can use numbers like, oh, this is 500 millinero instead of 0.5 Monero.
Exactly.
So instead of having that trailing zero there, you see, oh, it's a whole number. It's not a point number. It's an actual whole unit. And I think that's a big thing is what's called unit bias.
Right. Yeah. If people were micro mining on XMR Bazaar with the one-click miner, it'd be much cooler if they were getting millimonero or piconero, right, as opposed to 0.00 whatever.
And that's
XMR.
just software design. I mean, you can make your thing whatever decimal place you want. So you could write a wallet that priced in or that showed in millinero, or you could write a wallet that showed in piconero, or you could in XMR Bazaar right now you could have the developer change the denomination to millinero.
100.
Yeah, gaming will save privacy community, but yeah, we have to infiltrate, means the Monero groups have to be entrenched in those Linux communities, OpenBSD communities, because you will see they are also like their main donation. When they ask for donation, they just go for PayPal. They are not using Monero. That's the problem. They're using either Bitcoin or like this one, PayPal stuff. So yeah, we need like privacy community entrance, like Mulvet, like they're doing, like fully means privacy coins they're doing. But the thing is, gaming and I think this open source development community, both in cybersecurity space as well as operating system space, as well as LLM, open source LLM space. I think that's the next sector. The crypto community as well as the privacy community have to be entrenched over there, because from those places we'll get, from good UI, we'll get a huge adoption. And then, of course, the final phase, we need to be entrenched in those Second Amendment communities as well as gold communities, like those Peter Schiff guys. Because sometimes even Peter Schiff used to talk about Monero. So yeah, there is a link. Until and unless we get all those, means have influence on all those places, then there is no trouble for Monero miners, because for Monero miners we need like hardware, good amount of CPU, GPUs, and in future we need the technical knowledge, hardware and software level, to make our own CPUs, because things will get very bad very soon due to introduction of like hardware level backdoors. So yeah, people will have to make their own mesh devices as well as CPUs and GPUs.
Speaking of Monero miners, I did see a post on Reddit, and this did not come up in the news, but somebody was talking about the idea of creating a Monero miner, and they showed like an AI picture of something they had AI draw up, just because of the fact that they weren't good at drawing the picture. And it was a little space heater, just kind of like the one that's sitting here on my nightstand, but it had the Monero logo on it. And the one thing I would say to a person like that is, don't put a cryptocurrency logo on the thing. Make it just like your standard space heater, so that if anybody looks at it, or if anybody walks in your house and sees the space heater sitting there, they're not going to think, oh, this is a cryptocurrency miner. They're going to think, oh, this is a space heater, because otherwise they would know that you have Monero or Bitcoin or whatever, and be more likely to attack you or whatever. So that's
unless you have enough bullets, then it's okay.
Yeah, but an OPSEC thing, you would not want a cryptocurrency logo on the thing.
this is kind of funny because I was thinking about like, designs, because I made a lot of designs that had like, big crypto thing in the center of it. And then, you hear all these stories about the $5 wrenches and you're like, maybe the designs don't need to be so completely obvious about, which crypto or if it is crypto related at all. But I'm actually very proud with the hats that we made last year for the last Monerotopia, because it was cool walking through that marketplace and then seeing the vendors that had the hat. It didn't say Monero on it. It just said, if we use it, we win.
I still think that the most efficient $5 wrench attack is actually a 45-cent bullet attack.
Yep, that's true. That's why Second Amendment is too much important, both for United States and Argentina, as well as Chile.
When are you gonna move to a free country, bro? You gotta get out of there. Like, let's go.
Yeah, that's true. It's tough over here, but yeah, both in India and Europe, it's getting worse.
Well,
But
in that case,
yeah,
you might have to leave. The best vote you can possibly make is with your feet.
I still think the best vote is with a bullet, but I hear what you're saying.
yeah, we have to leave. The free people should go to free places, but change policies to get guns. Otherwise, you are screwed either way. Because it's an expansionist empire. The socialists are always planning an expansionist empire, one world government. So the only way you can get away from them is either privacy coin, gold, as well as guns, lots of guns, and some nukes. Guns and nukes.
Limitless peace is ideal.
Peace through violence. I'm with you, Michael.
Through strength? I don't know.
A well-armed society is a polite society.
Up to a point.
United
Up to a
States
point.
made big mistake after Pinochet. There was no good successor, and they even smashed Rhodesia, so it went to a mess. Then they smashed
How's their island?
apartheid South Africa, so all went to crap.
How is it? Oh, it's a bed?
Hey, Doug, you're unmuted and we can hear you talking.
Oh, all right, sorry.
Hot mic in it. The Second Amendment protects the First. .com.
Yeah, I just didn't want him to say anything that he would not realize.
Yeah,
he
no,
was
I
saying on air.
appreciate that. Yeah, the baby just scratched her eyelid. She's all right, though. Her eyebrow. Not her eye, thank
Yeah,
God.
that's why I think always the Keystone project as well as the Monero Nodo project is important, because from Monero Nodo we could develop it more, we could make it like a miner, and we could improve the computation power. Maybe have our own lithography techniques and make simple computation, simple miners. Even if it's not efficient, it's still better to be sovereign than being at the mercy of Intel, Nvidia, AMD, as well as Taiwan, or maybe next in future China. So it's better to have your own CPUs and GPUs with your own chips.
Guys, I just want to bring up some super chats here, just because I think we missed them. Did we? I don't know if you guys mentioned them before. Skelly tip, 3 cents. Week 3 requests for the XMR chat link in the video description. Question for Tux. Do you think more petitions for more businesses accepting XMR could be a good way to onboard? Or is it overkill? Wanting more businesses to see the light and benefits of accepting. I don't think Tux is online right now, but I'm sure he would think, yeah, the more the merrier, right?
I think that depends a lot on the business type. So, like, if you make a petition to get Steam to accept Monero, it's not going to happen because we're not big enough. If we made a petition, for example, for Proton to accept Monero, well, that's more like that's going to happen because the fact that they're already a somewhat privacy adjacent business anyway,
right?
Already groundswell for that to occur, and they just hadn't been listening to it up until then. So I think it depends on the business type.
Yeah, we should be reaching out to, things like Brave Browser, right? They've been talking about that integration. Let's get that done, right? Like, obviously, people in the privacy tech space is the low-hanging fruit of early adopter.
Kagi, the search engine, they're going to be accepting Monero at some point in the future too.
Yeah, we need more projects in business, especially open source projects, cybersecurity projects, as well as open source hardware projects, as well as games. We need gamers, otherwise we don't get the hardware access and the leverage, political leverage.
Juan tipped $1. I really think the XMR community should focus on teaching basic morality too. If people don't understand that a 40% tax to fund the killing of humans is immoral, they won't get XMR. If people trust the government, why use Monero? Yeah, I mean, it's definitely more than just telling them there's this thing that's digital cash. They have to understand the why, right? They have to understand why it's important, why they should even care. Especially right now in the early days where you do have to go out of your way a little bit, right? It's not as easy as some of the other payment devices that exist, payment systems that exist. It's pretty close. If you're using something like Cake Wallet, like it's pretty damn close to what the normies are using anyway. But there's still friction there. So the only way to overcome that friction is they have to really understand why it even matters in the first place, why they should go out of their way to use a technology like Monero.
I think you have to be able
all of that is true, except there is a way around that, which is you just make it cool. So people will do something if it's right, but even more people will do something if it's cool. So this isn't a tactic for everyone, but one of the things that I like to do is I like to deploy shame. Like, oh, you don't use XMR? You fucking loser. Like it's so like that makes them want to be like in the cool club or whatever. But another thing that you can say is, oh, this guy paid an XMR. What a legend. And everybody wants to be a legend, right? So you just try to make it really, really cool to use XMR. And then they don't really care about their moral principles because it allows them to rise up the social hierarchy. And in a way, that's almost like more powerful than having a clue why you're doing something.
Good old-fashioned peer pressure manipulation.
I think you do have to be. I think you do have to be a bit careful though with how it's presented, because like for me, for example, I'm not a big philosophy person. Like I get their reasons behind it, but I don't want to sit and listen to a podcast that's like an hour long about the philosophy behind it and listening to like all the people from like the 1800s and the 1700s and the 1500s, like John Locke, and I don't care. I know that it needs to be done, and so I'm willing to do it, but it needs to be brought up to me in such a way that I can ignore that part of it if I want to. Just like, hey, this helps stop the killing of innocent people. Okay, that's cool by me. I don't need to know all these like backstory history things. Some people like that. I do not.
I was toying with the idea of coming up a word for people who are cucked by the banks. And I was trying to come up with a way like you can either use Monero or you can be a banker cuck, and just try to like infiltrate different groups of people that probably have money, like the manosphere. And it's like, if you don't have Monero, you might as well just borrow your wife out to the nearest banker,
You've got a point.
All right. I think this could be a good place to wrap it up, guys. 3.5 hours in. Anything anybody wants to say before I close it out?
Yeah, I think accidental normie, he's getting always kicked out. I'm seeing these days, I think we are getting DDoS or what? Means many people get kicked out sometimes. Like I've been seeing these few days. Yeah, accidental norm, what do you want to say?
Do you hear me right now? Do you hear me at all?
Yes.
Yeah, we hear you.
Yes. Oh, great. Oh, I'm finally back. Welcome. I went to a farmer's market today, and I kept trying to encourage people to use Monero, and I bought like 2 things from 2 vendors. I kept talking to both those vendors about Monero and why they should love it. And I think they both like caught on a lot. And like one was like just technologically incapable. Like they don't want to deal with technology. The other was getting into taxes and blah blah blah. And like I started explaining how it's not a problem, and this person just like they just wanted to keep going on and on. Like it seemed like there was no solving this problem. They just no matter what I say, they're gonna come up with another problem. Like
I mean, that's the reality, right? It's like you can't really shove it down people's throats. We need to find the people that are open-minded to these ideas in the first place.
Keep trying.
Yeah. No, appreciate that you're out there trying to onboard these people.
When you do get one, though, like when you do succeed at getting one, always buy from that person first. And then if somebody asks you why you buy from that person, you say, oh, it's because they accept Monero. That's the reason I buy from them.
Yeah, and by the way, I've said several times to people like I would love to buy this, but I only carry Monero. Can you accept that? It's not really a bad idea, is it?
Hey, when you use that trick, I found one thing that makes it work way better. Is you say something like, "I carry Monero because I don't want to be robbed." And if they ask you, what do you mean by that? You say, well, Monero is inherently more secure from being robbed. Monero is inherently more secure from losing my money. You try to, you try to get them to inquire about like why it's more secure or why it's more private or why it prevents you from being robbed. And then depending on who the audience is, but over 50% of the time, especially if you're talking to like a woman who might like acknowledge that they're more vulnerable, or somebody who cares deeply for like, you know, a more vulnerable person, which is a lot more than you think, like somebody who takes care of their sick grandma or whatever. When you explain to them that, I always tell the story of how, you know, if a woman was being abused at home and you were to tip, like this, she was a waitress or something, if you tip her in Monero, the abusive boyfriend can't take her money when she gets home. So like she could use Monero to escape, but dollars are just going to keep her trapped. You know,
I completely understand you, but
yeah.
Here's the problem. My problem is that I need to say something to someone in some kind of short fashion that's going to work for a vendor, and for me to like, and if I'm going to say something like I could say something like it's like cash for the modern age, and you people understand what I'm saying when I say that. I need to say it like better. I need better words.
Yeah, well, that's why I say if you say I only use Monero or I only carry Monero because I don't want to be stolen from, or because I don't want to lose my money. And so that it's like the short version. And so now they understand that you believe that this is a safer way to carry money.
You're talking about like I'm trying to buy something and now you're talking about stealing it. Like, no, we need to workshop this, brother. We need to workshop this.
So think about it. It's actually really fast. It's really fast. So what you do is,
I know it's fast.
I would love to buy from you, but I only carry Monero. And then you just add, because I don't want to lose my money or be stolen from. So that's why I only use Monero.
Yeah, I don't know. I hear what, you know, what is he going by? The accidental number is saying today. You know, I think you got to focus on the cash aspect. Alaska, I totally get you, but I think that's like a next level, because then it's like, oh, and by the way, you got to hold on to this key, and if you lose it, everything's gone, right? Like crypto is more difficult in that sense. You have to hold on to a private key. If you lose it, everything's gone. Focusing on the cash-like nature, and you know, hey, do you accept cash? Would you rather accept cash or credit card? Oh, cash. I'd rather accept cash. Actually, I'll give you a deal if you pay in cash, so I don't have to pay the credit card fees. Okay, well, how about digital cash? What do you mean digital cash? Oh, well, there's this thing, Monero. It's like cash, but it's digital. Well, you know they're eliminating cash, right? I mean, they're going to get rid of cash, so you should start accepting digital cash so that you can still get the advantages of cash. And, like, yeah, I think that's where you really focus.
Yeah, that's right.
Is the cash-like aspects.
Yeah.
You know, and then if they're like, well, how do I pay my tax? Well, like, well, what do you do with cash? Like, you don't accept cash? And if there's somebody's like, well, yeah, I don't. Well, then you're not going to get that on board that person. If there's a person that's like doesn't even want cash because like, no, I'd rather do credit card. Like that person's not moving to Monero anytime soon.
Yeah, that's why gold backs and paper wallets for Monero, those are also good options. Means people will still, they won't trust it.
Any vendor that rather have cash than credit cards, that's a good target for Monero.
Yeah, those cash vendors are very good. But yeah, some people
Okay,
may not
this is a great idea, guys. We're gonna have a hackathon, but we're gonna call it an adopt-a-thon. Okay.
Yeah, I love it. Have it at Monerotopia, man. You got your
no, like as a prelude to Monerotopia, we all go to our individual communities. So, like the people on this show, for example, we got to have somebody follow us around and put the whole discussion on video, and we got to have an adopt-a-thon, okay? And then we got to have like some kind of badge reward for the hardest sale, or the most adoptions caught on camera, or the most Monero accepted. You see what I'm saying? We have to have an adopt-a-thon, and I'm totally
Adopt-a-thon is great, and I think that this is the right team to do it. Also, I think that surveillance is not the right theme. So let's just trust each other a little bit, and not like we're not bullshitters. So let's just do it.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a way to do both. So you have somebody going along, and then when you're done with the adopt-a-thon, you have like an after-action review on video that you can share and post, but just not with the customer, with the client. You should hide the business unless they like say it's cool. But you basically, when you're done with the transaction, you go out and you make a short video of how it went and what was said. Because the idea of the adopt-a-thon that I had in my head was you pave the way for other people to have seen the interaction, and so they can learn how to onboard people. So the adopt-a-thon is to try to empower other people to get them to adopt it. And the other thing is Alessandro has to start with a handicap because he's going to kill us all. But
you're on, buddy. All of us right here. Let's see who can win. The best.
Yeah, I mean, you could open it up beyond it, right? You just make it a social media thing, right? People post videos, adoption videos, whatever. Maybe give out some prize.
Yeah, in the comment section I'm seeing JK, thanks for the appreciation. But I think, yeah, hackathons, making people learn about hardware wallets, paper wallets, as well as the ideas of Monero, as well as the privacy technology. Oh boy, it's gonna bring adoption, and we have to gamify it. We have to bring gamers. So yeah, we need those guys also.
Okay,
all right,
so
guys.
Somebody write the rules for the adopt-a-thon, and I will donate to a prize pool.
There you go. Yeah, we could pick up this convo next week, or you guys can continue to talk offline or wherever. I don't know, on X. I don't know where you guys could all converge.
I have a meeting to go to, so I'll be leaving in like 2 minutes.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna close it here. Great thoughts, great ideas as always. Great show. A lot of things going on in Monero on a technical level. A lot of things going on in terms of adoption. A lot of things going on in terms of the state and whoever these actors are trying to sabotage us. And Monero is I would say is thriving, right? In response, I'm seeing a lot of activity, a lot of people looking to improve Monero. So all good things on the Monero front. We do these shows every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. See you guys next week. Adios. Enjoy the fam time.
Thank you for joining us on this week's Monerotopia episode. We stream live shows every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. You can find and subscribe to our show on YouTube and Odyssey, or listen to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or Stitcher. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or join us in the Monerotopia Telegram group. See you all next week.